Hello, I'm Isaac Hayes III, founder and CEO of Fanbase. And right now we're accepting investors in our $17 million round to revolutionize the future of social media. Today, for just $399, you can own 60 shares of stock in Fanbase at $665 a share. Go to startengine.com/fanbase and invest today. While the big platforms have grown too massive and disconnected from their users, Fanbase is building a platform where creators and users truly come first. We've already raised $4.8 million from everyday investors who believe in this vision, and now you can join them. This is your chance to invest in a social media tech company with over 1 million users that is disrupting media by allowing anyone to reach all of their following and monetize their content from day one. The market is changing, big platforms are failing to serve their users, and Fanbase is stepping up to fill the gap. Don't wait until it's too late. Invest now. Invest for yourself and your future. Go to startengine.com/fanbase and own the future of social media.
Folks, Black Star Network is here.
Hold no punches.
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig? Folks, today is Wednesday, January 29th, 2025. Coming up on Roland Martin Unfiltered, streaming live on the Black Star Network. Black cultural studies courses at HBCUs face uncertainty if a federal judge allows the federal funding freeze to proceed, as well as the attacks on DEI by the thugs in the Trump administration. We'll speak with the Mississippi state lawmaker who introduced the Contraception Begins at Erection Act. Robert F. Kennedy, that anti-vaccine zealot, faced tough questioning over his abortion flip-flop and other issues during his confirmation hearing today, where he was scrutinized by congressional Democrats, and of course, Republicans kissed his butt. Ahmaud Arbery's mother took the stand in the trial of the Georgia prosecutor who did not charge the 3 white men who killed her son. And Tiffany Lofin, the labor activist, will be joining us in the studio to discuss MAGA's mission to dismantle diversity as well as the civil rights infrastructure. It's time to bring the funk on Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. Let's go.
He's got it. Whatever he's on it. Whatever it is, he's got the scoop, the fact, the find. And when it breaks, he's right on time and it's rolling. Best believe he's knowing. Putting it down from sports to news to politics. With entertainment just for kicks, he's rolling. It's on Go, roll, y'all. It's Roland Martin, yeah. Rolling with Roland now. He's funky, he's fresh, he's real, the best, you know he's Roland Martin now.
Folks, the sheer stupidity of Donald Trump's cabinet picks was on full display today when anti-vaccine zealot Robert F. Kennedy Jr. was in the chair being grilled on Capitol Hill during his confirmation hearing to lead the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. He talked about his rhetoric on COVID-19, vaccines, and abortions. Here is some of what took place.
There is no question that abortion is a divisive issue in this country. I would say a majority of the people are pro-choice. There's a strong minority who are pro-life. A year and a half ago, you went to New Hampshire, running for president, gave a speech, and you talked about governing a woman what she can do with her own body. That's her choice. Now, I think everybody on that side is pro-life. I think everybody here is pro-choice. I have never seen any major politician flip on that issue quite as quickly as you did when Trump asked you to become HHS secretary. Tell me why you think people should have confidence in your consistency and in your word when you really made a major U-turn on an issue of that importance in such a short time.
Senator, I believe, and I've always believed, that every abortion is a tragedy.
But you told the people of New Hampshire that it was their right. All right, let me do a last question here because I'm running out of time. I think the gist of what you're trying to say today is you're really pro-vaccine, you want to ask questions. You have started a group called the Children's Health Defense. You're the originator. Right now, as I understand it, on their website, they are selling what's called onesies. These are little things, clothing for babies. One of them is titled Unvaxxed, Unafraid. Next one, and they're sold for $26 a piece, by the way. Next one is No Vax, No Problem. Now, you're coming before this committee and you say you're pro-vaccine. Just want to ask some questions. And yet your organization is making money selling a child's product to parents for $26, which casts fundamental doubt on the usefulness of vaccines. Can you tell us now that you will, now that you are pro-vaccine, that you're going to have your organization take these products off the market?
Senator, I have no power over that organization. I'm not part of it. I resigned from the board.
Yeah, that was just a few months ago. You founded that. You certainly have power. You can make that call. Are you supportive of this?
I've had nothing to do with leadership.
Are you supportive of these onesies?
I'm supportive of vaccines.
Are you supportive of this clothing, which is militantly anti-vaccine?
I am supportive of vaccines. I will. I want good science, and I want to protect.
But you will not tell the organization you founded not to continue selling that product. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Here's an easy question. Will you commit that when you leave this job, you will not accept compensation from a drug company, a medical device company, a hospital system, or a health insurer for at least 4 years, including as a lobbyist or a board member?
Can you just repeat the last part of the question? Can I commit?
You're not going to take money from drug companies in any way, shape, or form.
Who? Me?
Yes, you.
Oh. I'm happy to commit to that.
Okay, good. That's what I figured. I said it's an easy question to start with. And I think you're right on this question.
I don't think any of them want to give me money, by the way.
Let's keep going. You're right because to say yes, because every American has the right to know that every decision you make as our #1 health officer is to help them and not to make money for yourself in the future. So I want to talk more about money. I'm looking at your paperwork right now. In the past 2 years, you've raked in $2.5 million from a law firm called Wisner Baum. You go online, you do commercials to encourage people to sign up with Wisner Baum to join lawsuits against vaccine makers. And for everyone who signs up, you personally get paid. And if they win their case, you get 10% of what they win. So if you bring in somebody who gets $10 million, you walk away with $1 million. Now, you just said that you want the American people to know you can't be bought. Your decisions won't depend on how much money you could make in the future. You won't go to work for a drug company after you leave HHS. But you and I both know there's another way to make money. So, Mr. Kennedy, will you also agree that you won't take any compensation from any lawsuits against drug companies while you are secretary and for 4 years afterwards?
Well, I'll certainly commit to that while I'm secretary. But I do want to clarify something because you're making me sound like a shill. I put together that case. I did the Science Day presentation to the judge on that case to get it into court.
Mr. Kennedy, it's just a really simple question.
Yeah,
You've taken in $2.5 million. I want to know if you will commit right now that not only will you not go to work for drug companies, you won't go to work suing the drug companies and taking your rake out of that while you're a secretary and for 4 years after. It's just...
I'll commit to not taking any fees from drug companies while I'm secretary.
No, I'm asking about fees from suing drug companies. Will you agree not to do that?
You're asking me to not sue drug companies,
no,
and I'm not going to agree to that,
drug
Senator.
Companies as much as you want.
I'm not going to agree to not sue drug companies or anybody.
Well, the most devastating testimony came in a video from his own cousin, Caroline Kennedy, former Biden ambassador to Australia. This video was released the day before his testimony. And you talk about powerful, listen to this.
Dear Senators, throughout the past year, people have asked for my thoughts about my cousin, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and his presidential campaign. I did not comment, not only because I was serving in a government position as United States Ambassador to Australia, but because I have never wanted to speak publicly about my family members and their challenges. We are a close generation of 28 cousins who have been through a lot together. We know how hard it's been, and we are always there for each other. But now that Bobby has been nominated by President Trump to be Secretary of Health and Human Services, a position that would put him in charge of the health of the American people, I feel an obligation to speak out. Overseeing the FDA, the NIH, the CDC, and Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, agencies that are charged with protecting the most vulnerable among us, is an enormous responsibility and one that Bobby is unqualified to fill. He lacks any relevant government, financial, management, or medical experience. His views on vaccines are dangerous and willfully misinformed. These facts alone should be disqualifying. But he has personal qualities related to this job, which for me pose even greater concern. I've known Bobby my whole life. We grew up together. It's no surprise that he keeps birds of prey as pets, because Bobby himself is a predator. He's always been charismatic, able to attract others through the strength of his personality, his willingness to take risks and break the rules. I watch his younger brothers and cousins follow him down the path of drug addiction. His basement, his garage, his dorm room were always the center of the action, where drugs were available, and he enjoyed showing off how he put baby chickens and mice in a blender to feed to his hawks. It was often a perverse scene of despair and violence. That was a long time ago, and people can change. Through his own strength and the many second chances he was given by people who felt sorry for the boy who lost his father, Bobby was able to pull himself out of illness and disease. I admire the discipline that took and the continuing commitment it requires. But siblings and cousins who Bobby encouraged down the path of substance abuse suffered addiction, illness, and death, while Bobby has gone on to misrepresent, lie, and cheat his way through life. Today, while he may encourage a younger generation to attend AA meetings, Bobby is addicted to attention and power. Bobby preys on the desperation of parents of sick children, vaccinating his own kids while building a following hypocritically discouraging other parents from vaccinating theirs. Even before he fills this job, his constant denigration of our healthcare system and the conspiratorial half-truths he's told about vaccines, including in connection with Samoa's deadly 2019 outbreak of measles, have cost lives. And now we know that Bobby's crusade against vaccination has benefited him in other ways, too. His ethics report makes clear that he will keep his financial stake in a lawsuit against an HPV vaccine. In other words, Bobby is willing to profit and enrich himself by denying access to a vaccine that can prevent almost all forms of cervical cancer and has already been safely administered to millions of boys and girls. During my time in Australia, I worked on the Quad Cancer Initiative, and I learned that cervical cancer is among the top 3 forms of cancer among women in a majority of countries. Tragically, every year, more than 200,000 children lose their mothers. They are orphaned due to a lack of vaccines and screening. Those are the real-world consequences of Bobby's irresponsible beliefs. We are a close family, and none of that is easy to say. It also wasn't easy to remain silent last year when Bobby expropriated my father's image and distorted President Kennedy's legacy to advance his own failed presidential campaign, and then groveled to Donald Trump for a job. Bobby continues to grandstand off my father's assassination and that of his own father. It's incomprehensible to me that someone who is willing to exploit their own painful family tragedies for publicity would be put in charge of America's life and death situations. Unlike Bobby, I try not to speak for my father, but I am certain that he and my Uncle Bobby, who gave their lives in public service to our country, and my Uncle Teddy, who devoted his long Senate career to the cause of improving health care, would be disgusted. The American healthcare system, for all its flaws, is the envy of the world. Its doctors and nurses, researchers, scientists, and caregivers are the most dedicated people I know. Every day they give their lives to heal and save others. They deserve a knowledgeable leader who is committed to evidence and excellence. They deserve a secretary committed to advancing cutting-edge medicine to save lives, not to rejecting the advances we have already made. They deserve a stable, moral, and ethical person at the helm of this crucial agency. They deserve better than Bobby Kennedy, and so do the rest of us. I urge the Senate to reject his nomination. Sincerely, Carolyn Kennedy.
Woo! My panel, Erica Savage, wellness coach and founder of the Reframe Brain; Mondale Robinson, principal with Black Male Voters Project and the mayor of Enfield, North Carolina; Joy Chaney is founder of Joy Strategies, based out of Washington, D.C. Pretty devastating there, Joy. If you were a Republican United States Senator, I'm sorry, that's a family member. That's somebody who knows a hell of a whole lot about this person's, about his character. And when she talked about how he led other family members down the path, the devastating path and destruction of drugs, man, did she nail that.
She nailed that. It's a disqualifier. He had many disqualifiers, but this is just the latest one. Well, actually, the latest one was that terrible confirmation hearing. We'll talk about that in a second. But I think what is clear is that he replaced one addiction, right? So the addiction of drugs and alcohol with the addiction of fame and trying to assert himself on a nation. He has replaced one with the other, which is why he would run for president when his family asked him not to do it, because they understood that it was eventually going to have to lead to them opposing him publicly because of what they know about him personally. Then he left his party. They are lifelong Democrats, but he was willing to throw that out to take on the view of Donald Trump and not just take an assignment from him, not just endorse him, but to then actually go in a hearing and say that I will do whatever he wants to do because I serve at the pleasure of him. This is not someone that should be trusted. And I know we're going to get to the hearing. He didn't understand how Medicaid worked. He did not understand how Medicare worked. He lied about his support of vaccinations. His lies about vaccinations ended in the death of Samoan children and led to an outbreak there. This person is dangerous. So even if you feel like, well, I have a cousin who doesn't take a vaccine, or I'm concerned about the health of our food. Bobby Kennedy, RFK Jr., he's not interested. in any of the things that you care about. None of the things that you care about. And he is dangerous. And if he is allowed to run our HHS, an agency that covers many things,
right,
he will mess it up.
The thing here is the flip-flop, Erica, on abortion. Now all of a sudden, oh, I love vaccines. This man is an anti-vaccine zealot. If you're sitting there, anybody with common sense would go, we can't trust this lying, grunting fool.
No, absolutely. He's a walking virus. And I think that even listening to Carolyn Kennedy, that was the ether of all ethers. From someone who respects a government position, even though she understood that he was wholly disqualified from holding any position, that she honored the position as a government official, as ambassador of Australia, and waited until, as with the Hatch Act, she was allowed to then speak publicly about another person, that she then penned and recorded such a poignant letter urging everyone to listen and the Senate to make sure that they did not confirm Robert Kennedy. I think that even with the fact sheets that we've read online and the testimony that we have, fortunately, been seeing throughout the day and throughout the week as we move through more Senate hearings, what we are understanding more and more, and what we have understood, Roland, since you stood up this program in 2018, is that this type of danger only has a qualification of one thing, and that is to pledge to the golden calf that is the son of a Klansman. And so it does not matter that this person has had a life of destruction. It does not matter that he could not tell you what HHS stood for. It does not matter that he would be willing and has been party to the harm and the death of other humans. It only matters that he will worship at the throne of the golden calf.
It is. I'm laughing, Mondale, because there were these fools who were saying that, oh, it was a mistake for Vice President Kamala Harris not to meet with Robert Kennedy because he could have helped her in the election. In what world?
Yeah, listen, let's be clear. The people that think and are charging the vice president with anything similar to that are people who are concerned simply with power. So these people are excited to take meetings with anybody. They remind me of the folk who were talking trash about Trump during the campaign, but performing for him at his inauguration, i.e. Snoop, i.e. Nelly, and the likes. I can't understand for the life of me how we are at a space where people are out loud complaining about DEI when we have an entire administration that is nothing but a bunch of white, rich nothingness. Trust fund babies and folk who have a lot of money that didn't deserve it and keep failing up to new positions, called geniuses for nothing. I am sick of people comparing these people to anybody that not just should be running an agency, but should even be a part of any federal agency. Robert F. Kennedy should be locked up for so many things that we're not even talking about. His daughter should have got him locked up when she told everybody that he cut a whale's head off with a saw and drove down the streets from Massachusetts to New York with the thing on top of his car, and nothing happened to him. So we see privilege, we see white privilege, and as if that's not enough, someone already said it. I think Joyce said he traded in privilege for power hunger, and I think we're not even talking about holding this administration accountable for all of the nothingness, all of the unqualified people that are being presented to us as if they should be anywhere near running a government agency. And this one, the largest health agency in the world, with over $1 trillion being spent on research and also on food, is absolutely scary to me that this person is 3 or 4 votes away from being that person.
If y'all really want to laugh, let me play for you this idiot Nicole Shanahan. She was his vice presidential running mate. She got $1 billion. I think she was married to the YouTube guy, and I think she cheated on him. I don't know what the hell. She's an idiot. Listen to this stupidity.
Hey everyone, tomorrow is a pivotal moment in our nation's history. At 10 a.m. Eastern Time, RFK will sit in front of the Senate Finance Committee for his confirmation hearing to be our nation's next Secretary of Health and Human Services. I urge everyone to call their U.S. senators over the following days and demand they vote yes on Bobby's nomination. He is more than qualified. He's proven, principled, and prepared to lead. I'll share a list below of key senators. If they represent your state, they need to hear from you. If they don't, please call your own senator and ask them to vote yes. We need as many votes as we can get. This hasn't been widely reported, but in 2020, I cut large checks to Chuck Schumer to help Democrats flip 2 Senate seats in Georgia from red to blue. The 2 candidates I helped elect, Senator Raphael Warnock and Senator John Ossoff, please know I will be watching your votes very closely. I will make it my personal mission that you lose your seats in the Senate if you vote against the future health of America's children. And more than that, I also want to say to Senators Mitch McConnell, Lindsey Graham, Lisa Murkowski, Susan Collins, Bill Cassidy, Tom Tillis, James Lankford, Cory Booker, John Fetterman, Bernie Sanders, and Catherine Cortez Masto, this is a bipartisan message, and it comes directly from me. While Bobby may be willing to play nice, I won't. If you vote against him, I will personally fund challengers to primary you in your next election, and I will enlist hundreds of thousands to join me. Big Pharma and Big Ag have exploited us for far too long. It ends now. You're either on the side of transparency and accountability, or you are standing in the way. The choice is yours. Please choose one.
Erica, ain't nobody scared of her ass.
Girl, with that sound bowl in the back, put it on your head and just ask if you are on. Is this on? How do you say, and I would like to say thank you, money well spent in my home state of Georgia with Ossoff and Warnock, but how do you issue a threat, number one, to people who were duly elected to say that you essentially own them, and then also name off other people who are operating in the Senate to say that you are going to ensure that if they do not vote in the way that you want them to vote, that you will personally ensure that they are primary. And then you use Big Pharma in the same sentence, turn it on. You are operating in the same way of those same major entities that you just named. And this is what I believe. I'm so glad that she used her time so foolishly. I think these are the things that perhaps people need to see. This is why people need to be engaged in their own electoral politics, so that somebody who comes across money does not have the ability to issue these types of threats and actually say to pretty much everybody who has the power to vote, that it's not your vote, it's my money that makes decisions about who will serve and what they will do once they get there.
I mean, absolutely hilarious, Bondale, to sit there and listen to her. Oh, I'll be watching. First of all, you idiot. Warnock just got reelected. So
that part.
Now, Ossoff's seat is up in 2026, but trust me, I think he's not going to have a problem raising money. And I don't think for a second that Senators Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders are really shaking in their boots at this idiot who was RFK Jr.'s vice presidential pick.
Can we be clear about a couple things? And let's start with the first one. Money does not win elections. And for her to believe, this is the Elon effect. They really believe that Elon won the election for Donald Trump. But what people don't understand is 2020 didn't happen in Georgia because of her money or anybody's money. It's because of organizations that had trusted relationships. I run Black Male Voter Project. We were in Georgia doing work with Black men who had never voted, that were already registered, engaging those brothers. And I promise you, they don't know anything about her money or her. So these idea of these people with a lot of money they got the game way messed up when they believe that they're responsible for turning out new voters. The coalition of voters that put Ossoff and also Warnock over the edge came from 40+ organizations that have been in that community, that are in that community, working with minority and other voters to engage them around issues that are important to them. And dollars, especially from million and billionaires, are not the ones that are moving them or affecting them. I think this is the disconnect between what really goes on and how we win elections from what well-moneyed people believe. Actually, if you want to talk about anything, the candidates with the most money have lost the last 5 presidential elections. So that right there in itself tells you money will not do it, especially when 80% of that money going to candidates gets spent in the wrong way and not on lasting change.
Real quick before I go to the break, Joy, go ahead.
Correct. If money, was it, she would be vice president, right? She's not vice president. She's some rando who's on Twitter or Instagram or whatever she was reporting that on. And RFK is up for HHS secretary. He wasn't inaugurated 2 weeks ago. Money is not the deciding factor. She has every right to say what she wants. What is clear is that RFK Jr. is dangerous for the nation and that he should never have responsibility over an agency. And for those who are thinking, well, he is not pro-life, he's pro-choice in the past, listen to his hearing today. He completely repudiated that, completely said he would do whatever Donald Trump said that he would. He is completely against abortion rights for everyone, regardless of state. He is dangerous, and he would support a national abortion ban.
Right.
You better believe it.
Folks, we'll take a quick break. We come back, we're going to talk about HBCUs, how they could be in some significant trouble as it relates to Donald Trump and his evil minions fixated on DEI. You're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered right here on the Black Star Network.
Next on the Black Table with me, Greg Carr. There's a lot of talk about the inevitability of another civil war in this country. But on our next show, we'll talk to a noted author and scholar who says we're actually in the middle of one right now. In fact, Steve Phillips says the first one that started back in 1861, well, it never ended.
People carrying the Confederate flag, wearing sweatshirts saying MAGA Civil War, January 6, 2021, stormed the U.S. Capitol, hunted down the country's elected officials, built a gallows for the Vice President of the United States, and to block the peaceful transfer of power within this country.
On the next Black Table, here on the Black Star Network.
This is Reggie Rock Byford. You're watching
Roland Martin, unfiltered, uncut, unplugged, and undamn believable. You hear me?
The administration of the twice impeached, criminally convicted felon and con man Donald Trump is pretty stupid. And when I say stupid, I mean really stupid. So they sent out this memo freezing federal funds, which actually is illegal. There's nothing that says they have the power to do so. And so folks went to court. Federal judge agreed with them. Then today, these idiots tried to send out a second memo saying, no, you know what? Scratch that. This really applies to these different groups. But then they got even more stupid because their, youngest ever press secretary, Caroline Leavitt, that dumbass then goes, this is not a rescission of the federal funding freeze. It's simply a rescission of the OMB memo. Why? To end any confusion created by the court's injunction. The president's EO on federal funding remain in full force and effect and will be rigorously implemented. Well, guess what? That dumbass earned them a restraining order. Go to my iPad. This is from Politico Story. The judge here, federal judge, says, I'm inclined to grant the restraining order. I fear that the administration is acting with a distinction without a difference. That's how dumb these folks are. And what has happened is the confusion is impacting folks in every single area, intended or unattended, if you want to suggest that. And so as a result, and they really are focusing on DEI, anything dealing with the issue of race, critical race theory, you name it, that's what they are constantly attacking. Well, guess what? If the freeze is reinstated, funding to Black cultural studies at HBCUs could be at risk, as these programs rely on federal funds. Dr. Leslie Baskerville, the CEO of the National Association for Equal Opportunity in Higher Education, joins me now. Leslie, glad to have you back on the show. Dr. Walter Kimbrough, who was the interim president in Alabama at school there, it's very interesting. He said it's a little hard to be an HBCU and not bring up Black history. And so this attack on DEI by these nutcases, this attack on critical race theory, anything dealing with race, could have a serious impact on the federal funds that HBCUs receive, correct?
Yes, it could have. I don't believe it will have, not under the current circumstances, because the Constitution reserves to the United States Congress appropriations and authorization authority, and the president can't override that by executive order. So I think it's really unfortunate that we're having to go through these time-consuming, confusing challenges in court. But I'm confident that we'll win, whether the judge is appointed by Trump or anyone else. That's clear, and Republican members and Democratic members hold on to that. It's a coveted responsibility. Budget was passed before Congress, and he can't override that with an executive order.
But Leslie, we're not dealing with someone who actually cares about the law.
Oh, he doesn't care.
And Republicans are consistently unwilling to challenge him on his lawlessness.
Yeah, that's true. And so it makes it even harder and more expensive. But there's another important factor here when we talk about DEI. Unlike Hispanic serving institutions and Asian Pacific Islander institutions, even predominantly Black institutions, HBCUs are not minority serving institutions. Since their founding, they have been mission-based institutions. They're mission-based institutions like the military, colleges, and universities. There's no race and no ethnicity criterion. There has never been any instance in which they had to have a certain number of white people, a certain number of Asian Pacific Islanders. Because of their mission, because of the areas in which they excel, they're the growth and high need areas, and particularly in STEM, where they're graduating 42% of Blacks and other underrepresented minorities with advanced degrees in STEM. People are coming. So we now have about 30% non-African ancestry and 70% African ancestry people. And so when you say DEI, we should not cede that.
But here's the deal, though, Leslie. We know what's going on here. When these white folks say DEI, they go on, oh, that's Black, knowing full well that the greatest beneficiaries of DEI jobs as well as affirmative action have been white women. And so these people are not smart. They don't think that way. And here's a perfect example. Go to my iPad. Look, Rutgers University canceled an HBCU conference as a result of this. In this conference, it was through the Rutgers Center for Minority Serving Institutions, said it was asked to cease all work it was performing under the auspices of Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, and Accessibility Hub at Jobs for the Future, which is funded by the U.S. Department of Labor. And so here's a perfect example. HBCUs are not solely for African Americans. They're just like, they're frankly just like PWIs. It's a historical distinction, but let's be real clear. The people who wrote Project 2025, that's what this is all about. And HBCUs should worry because these people are crazy.
Yeah, they are crazy. But I want to just take a slight issue with the fact that they're just like PWIs, with predominantly white institution, Hispanics, Asian Pacific Islander institutions. There is a specific criterion in the definition that a certain percentage of their student body is Hispanic, Asian Pacific Islander, and predominantly Black. So there's a specific race criterion along with an economic criterion. A certain percentage of them have to be low income, and the institutions have to be underfunded. That's their definition. HBCUs are mission-based.
No. Follow me. When I say they're the same, what I mean is if you're a white student. No. What I'm saying is if you're a white student or a Black student or Latino or Asian Native American, and then you apply to an HBCU, it's no different than you're applying to a PWI. So what I'm saying is it's a college, it's a university. So that's what I mean by there's no difference. I understand the definition, and I understand mission, but what I'm saying is if you choose to apply to one of those schools, you can apply. You're not going to be barred from that school, because of your race. And so that's what I mean by that. But we're dealing with these people who, many of them, first of all, they can't spell HBCU. I guarantee you they've never been to one. They have no understanding about the federal designation. But the most important thing, all they see is the B in HBCU, which is Black.
Right. So, we've had one successful case, and I led it on behalf of the HBCUs when a number of years ago, the Department of Commerce was directed to shut down its small disadvantaged and female business program. And earlier, I had written into that law that the private HBCUs, small private HBCUs that met the definition of small disadvantaged businesses, and there were quite a few, should be written into the law. When they set the law aside, then I came back and said, no, they're not small disadvantaged in the sense of having any race criterion, and we won. They took us out at that level, and that was an administrative judge, but they're tiers of government. And Roland, I agree with you, and I think we've never had a time like this or someone who's so unbridled, unhinged, unaware, or unrespectful of the tripartite system and the laws and so forth. And so that makes the battle harder. But as long as we've been fighting, and with the folks that HBCUs have prepared and other institutions, and those who've been prepared on the streets and the lines, picket lines and so forth, we have the tools to fight. We have the tools to win. And one of the things that we've been doing, quite frankly, knowing that he was coming, is to put in place an infrastructure so that his HBCU students in particular, initially when the FAFSA challenge would come up, and then all students can go online and sign up to the social media wealth building so that we don't have to continue to be overly reliant on government. I want every tax dollar we're entitled to, so don't get me wrong. I want our fair share and then somebody else if they'll give it to us, but so that we have options. These students can earn up to $300,000 on average. And that was in the test of the concept over 17 years, simply by going on and doing what students do. Click on and stay on social media. And so we're trying to create options while we're going after every dollar that we have. And we're not winning much. The courts are obviously stacked, and they're going to be stacked even heavier in a minute. But we're going to keep challenging them. The other thing is this: Trump and his shadow folks understand money. So HBCUs, mission-based institutions, 3% of American colleges and universities, they're graduating 42% of Blacks with advanced degrees in STEM. And his three immediate shadow co-presidents have as their top agenda item things having to do with STEM, with technology. And being one in the world seems to be more important to this president than being just and fair and equitable and comporting with any laws, regulations, policies, executive orders. And so they should understand that they can't get the America that they want without HBCUs. And let me tell you what happened. I don't know if it was by design or just sloppiness, because the whole thing is really sloppy. When in the executive order, the OMB decided which programs were going to be cut, they specifically mentioned Hispanic serving institutions and tribal colleges and universities, did not mention HBCUs. And I called OMB and I called people at the Department of Education. Their position now is that was not a mistake. But the question is why? Tribal colleges are non-racial too. So if you're going to exclude all of the non-racials, why were tribal colleges included? But it's a big mess. But I live to fight for justice. I've been doing it since I was 14. That's all I know. I get excited in the morning and doing that. And it's unfortunate that the clock has been turned so far back. The voting rights have been trammeled. Employment rights have been trammeled. Health rights, on and on. And justice, you let thugs and murderers out of jail and prison in mass. But we're up to the task, and we're not going to allow it to sit. And if there's any judge before whom we can get, there's no question, but the actions, these actions are in flagrant violation of the Constitution. And I think you can get a small number, but a number of Republicans to go along because they value the appropriations responsibilities, and that's what they can take home to their constituents.
Going to be prepared for the craziness that is going to ensue. Leslie Baskerville, we appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
I thank you so much for allowing me to be here, and look forward to working with you and the colleagues there as we do push back. Have a glorious day.
All right, thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Go to my panel here. Mondale, I want to start with you. I mean, listen, folk better be prepared. And bottom line is, it's a lot of people who are sleepwalking. And what pisses me off is I'm tired of hearing these people go, oh, my God, I can't believe this. And I'm like, dumbasses, we told you. They told you. It's in Project 2025. Trump lied by saying, I don't know anything about this here. I don't even want to know about it. I didn't even read it. They were lying the entire time. But I don't understand why people don't realize that they are going to go after anything and everything that says black or race or whatever.
Yeah, listen, let's be clear. We watched this president tell us through his whole life, not just when he was running as a political candidate, his entire life he's been anti-black. So anybody believing that him running for office, the last time that he could run from office and getting elected, that he was not going to be even more anti-black, even more empowered by whiteness when white people put him in that place, I think they're being fanciful at best, and I can think of some more colorful words that better describe them. This whole HBCU thing's really got me really stressed out, mainly because I think people forget that, like your past commentator was just talking about, that's a lot of people attending HBCUs. Nearly 25% of the people that go to HBCU are non-black students. And hell, you got 8 schools where over half of them, HBCUs, where over half of the student population are not something other than black. Hell, you even got 2 in West Virginia where the population are either 90 or 80% white. West Virginia State and Bluefield State. So this is the unseriousness at which we are writing policies, so much so that we are willing to throw poor white people out with black people just to make sure that we make sure black people understand their position in life. And anybody, any black Republican, any black person that voted for Trump, any black person that has something negative to say about what Kamala was offering, they're not really serious about what it takes to be standing up for black people. And I mean that because we've watched every day, 9 days straight, where something was written, and even if it didn't say black people, it was anti-black. The 14th Amendment, the erasing all the gains from the 1965 Civil Rights Act, and we can go on and on. The ensuring police officers that are going to get unqualified immunity, which means they can do whatever they want to in our communities, kill black men at rates that they want to without being checked.
Right.
I promise you, if so much wasn't going on, I bet you Chauvin would be free if it was a federal charge.
Well,
people are sitting here pretending that we are not under attack and that they didn't know it.
Right.
It's going to be this serious.
So
people are not serious about our folk and their folk too.
So here's the thing, Joy, that we have to understand again. If you are an institution, if you are a group, I don't care what it is, if you have any federal funds, if you have a business that receives federal funds, you had better be on guard, because these people, they want to go after everything, and they want to absolutely cripple Black America.
Correct. And let's be clear, it's not just Black America. I know that's our focus here, but it is women. It is Native Americans.
No. Here's the deal. No. When we say women, it's white women. Let's be real clear.
What I'm saying, Roland, what I'm telling you is I'm on a board of an organization that just had their efforts that were aimed at sexual harassment in the workplace, that was brought back.
No, I understand. What I'm saying is, when you say Black, sisters are under that. So I want to specifically challenge white women, because they act like they're not a part of this. But go ahead.
Correct. White women do act like they're not a part of it, but they're fools for it. They are coming for everything that does not benefit white, heterosexual,
men,
cisgendered men. That is what Judeo-Christian at that. That is their focus. So even if you think that you're going to be protected, you are not going to be protected. You are not going to be protected. And they are testing out with DEI. And by the way, in the federal government, those offices are not just diversity, equity, and inclusion. If you are a person with a disability, those are also accessibility offices. This is really important. They are testing out to see what they can do.
Yeah.
And when it happens and no one pushes back, or not enough people push back, then they go farther. That's what happened this week. They started with DEI, and then later in the week, they cut all the funding.
Yeah, I'll tell you this here, Erica, and this is the thing that I think, again, folk need to understand. The people who are going to push back, and this is where, when you talk about fighting it in the courts, it's going to be the Democratic attorneys generals and the governors. They're going to have to lead the legal charge. Frankly, the folks in D.C., I don't know what the hell they're doing. They are $5 late and 5 days short. I mean, I've never seen folk react so damn slow to what's going on. But again, when New York Attorney General Tish James announced the first one to launch a lawsuit over the freezing of the funds, and other Democratic Attorney Generals jumped in, guess what? Not a single Republican Attorney General said a word, even though those broke-ass red states get the most money from the federal government. So that is what you're going to see. You're going to have a legal onslaught led by Democratic governors and attorneys generals.
Absolutely. Executive leadership is definitely pertinent at this time. And speaking of AG Letitia James, shout out to her. She was one of the first ones to retweet over to talk about, listen, we coming for you. You will see us in court. That is the type of leadership that we always need. And you're talking about the number one and the number two group, which is Black men and Black women. We are the ones that really fought for democracy, that are continuing to fight, particularly in these times. But let's be very clear about what we're seeing. We're seeing, again, what we've been talking about on this show for the past 7 years, but we're also seeing the policies. We're also seeing the mating call that was released back in February of 2017 by Stephen Bannon across the water from us here in Maryland, where at the CPAC convention, where he said at that time that their goal was to deconstruct the administrative state, and they are here in 2025 to do that. You have a Stephen Miller, who is an all-out Nazi, a nationalist, who is the deputy chief policy head in the White House. And so anywhere that he is able to see any remnants, anything that has Black in it, he's going after it. So I think that for those that were in the space of not believing what has been talked about, what was actually written, what was actually made watered down into 30, 90-second snippets where people could actually get the information of what was going to happen if he was able to, meaning the son of a Klansman was able to get back behind that desk at 1600 Black Lives Matter Plaza, which we know that address will change very quickly. But this is what he would do. And so now it is incumbent upon people to make sure that not only are they calling their senators and lighting people up here in D.C., but to also be in support of those Democratic AGs and governors that are being about the business of taking this illegal regime to task.
Folks, lots of focus is on women when you talk about abortion, but very few focus on men. When we come back, we're going to talk with a Mississippi lawmaker who is, he's ticked the people off, and I don't understand why these pro-life folk mad. He's just giving them some of their medicine. We'll talk about that next. Don't forget to support the work that we do by joining our Bring the Funk fan club. The goal is to get 20,000 of our fans contributing on average $50 each a year. That's $4.19 a month, 13 cents a day. There are folks who say they can't give that. Totally understand. You can give less if you can give more. We appreciate that. All those proceeds goes to pay for what we do here. You know, our expenses about $195,000 a month to cover the show, the network, the places where we go, the travel, all things that we do. And so, listen, nobody else is out there doing what we're doing. There are other black-owned media. I don't know what they're doing. Byron Allen, guess what? He shut down his griot network. It doesn't exist as of January 1st. They laid off all of their people except I think like 4 people at the griot. We got more people who work for us at the Black Star Network than they have at the griot. Black Enterprise, nope. Urban One, nope. Radio One, nope. Blavity, nope. Essence, nope. Ebony, nope. None of these people do what we do every day in covering the amount of news that we focus on every single day. So your support is critical. If you want to support us via Cash App, please use the Stripe app. Cash App closed down all of our accounts after they changed their rules. And so that's the QR code right there. If you are listening, you can go to blackstarnetwork.com to grab that QR code. Also, you want to see a check and money order, send your check and money order, P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C., 2003-7-0196. PayPal is rmartin unfiltered, Venmo is RM unfiltered, Zelle, Roland at RolandSMartin.com, Roland at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. We'll be right back.
What's up, y'all? Look, Fanbase is more than a platform. It's a movement to empower creators, offering a unique opportunity for everyday people to invest in Black-owned tech, infrastructure, and help shape the future of social media. Investing in technology is essential for creating long-term wealth and influence in the digital age. The Black community must not only consume tech, we must own it.
Discover how equity crowdfunding can serve as a powerful tool for funding Black businesses, allowing entrepreneurs to raise capital directly through their community through the Jobs Act.
This is Essence Atkins.
What's the love king of R&B, Raheem Devon?
It's me, Sherry Shepard, and you know what you're watching.
You're watching Roland Martin, Unfiltered.
So, folks, when you think about all of the laws that are passed regarding a woman's body, they're extensive. What about when it comes to men? Well, guess what? A Mississippi state senator has introduced a bill titled the Contraception Begins at Erection Act. This bill would make it illegal for a person to release genetic material without the intention of fertilizing an embryo. Senator Bradford Blackmon's bill proposes a fine of up to $10,000 for repeat offenders. He joins us now from Canton, Mississippi. How you doing?
I'm doing well, and thank you for having me.
So I got a kick out of this because I remember doing one hearing on Capitol Hill. They were talking about abortion services and cost and things along those lines. And I remember one of the female senators said, how much do they spend on Viagra in the Defense Department? And she was like, why is that covered? And you often hear people joke that if there were bills that specifically target male genitalia, things would change a lot in this country. And so what caused you to put this bill forward? What triggered it?
It was sometime last summer. I was watching the news, and I saw that it was somewhere in Texas. They had a bill that would punish someone criminally and require jail time if you assisted someone getting an abortion. And I thought to myself, it had been getting outrageous, but this is completely outrageous. And then I thought, hey, what if we decided we wanted to regulate what men do? So I thought about that, and then I went to my parents, who are both former legislators, and told them of my idea, and they were on board, and they said, go for it.
Well, folks may not realize the Dobbs decision was based on a bill from Mississippi.
That's correct.
And so you put this forward. So what has been the reaction from the pro-lifers in the legislature in Mississippi?
Well, the reaction from the pro-lifers in the actual legislature, I've gotten a few helpful suggestions on it. One told me that, hey, would you support an amendment that said if you had a vasectomy, that it could be an exception? And I told him that was something I hadn't thought about, and that was an amendment that I would support. So in the legislature itself, the reaction, it hasn't been a negative reaction. The negative reaction has mostly come from men in the public. And I will say there have been a few women in the public who've told me that I'm wasting taxpayer money with it.
But wait a minute, why are you wasting taxpayer money for a bill that relates to men when these folks have no problem passing bills relating to women? We saw the whole, in vitro fertilization battle. We've seen reproductive rights. And so all you're simply saying is, if it's good for passing laws dealing with women, let's pass some laws dealing with men.
That's exactly right. I'm not sure how I'm wasting taxpayer money doing my job of being a legislature, but that's been one of the complaints. And the bigger complaint from men has been, this is my personal private home. This is what I do in my home. How dare you try to regulate it? What are you going to do? Have police break down my door and come in? And I just want to be like, if you just take that next step, you can understand that that's what women have been saying this whole time.
Let's go to the panel here. Mondale Robinson, you're first. Your question.
Yeah, I appreciate this, and I appreciate the the historical context of Dobbs and also this legislation. I think you should be working with the state legislature around the country to produce these bills, and then maybe we can get some of them passed in some legislatures that look more like blue state legislatures. I do have a question to you about life in Mississippi. We see life in Mississippi being hard from whenever it begins to whenever it ends. I want to ask you guys, what's your plan to push back on what's happening with your Republican friends over there with this bill to try to make trespassing forever life sentence for people who are undocumented?
Well, what I'll say is I'm over in the Senate, and that came from the House. And in all due respect to my House members, they tend to pass anything over on that side of the building. And most of the stuff like that doesn't really see the light of the day on the Senate side. So even my Republican colleagues on the Senate side don't bring up some of the more extreme bills that come out of the House. And I guess that's kind of true for the national government, even though in recent times it might seem like they're more on board than they have been in the past.
So Scott Coloming had to sue y'all for nothing, right?
Well, I think Scott, I know Scott prior to his current position, Scott and I had some litigation together, and Scott's a great man, and it's just a shame what happened with his judicial nomination, and it's the Senate Democrats, unfortunately, in the U.S. Senate to blame for that one, in honoring the blue slip, which their Republican counterparts seem to ignore.
Mississippi got a 2026 Senate election.
We do have a 2026 Senate election, and I'm going to hold my cards close to the vest.
All right. Question, Erica.
Yes, State Senator Blackman, great to be with you today. My question for you is, in the introduction of this bill, can you just line out what exactly are you looking for those women or for anyone else who may not fully understand what this piece of legislation should do? Could you just kind of run us through what is this, an equity act? What are you seeking to do with this bill that you have come up with?
Well, I think that the last comment you made, it is an equity act. I wanted to get a conversation started, and apparently the conversation has been started, that literally everything that comes out of legislation has to do with what a woman can or cannot do with her body. And when you decide to say what a man can and cannot do with his own body, apparently you've gone a step too far. It's a bridge too far, and you get people up in arms when that's exactly what women have been saying for time immemorial, that let us have control of our own bodies. But when you say that you want to control what a man does, apparently that's when the government should stay out of your home, stay out of your personal life, and let you do what you want. And the people that are mad, they really shouldn't be mad at me. I mean, they should be mad at Ted Cruz, because when he was Solicitor General, he said there's no constitutional right to masturbate. They should be mad at Antonin Scalia, because in his dissent in Lawrence v. Texas, he said the same thing. So I'm just taking a conservative position, putting it out there, and apparently conservatives get mad about that.
Joe, your question?
What you are doing is requiring them to get lambskin in the game. I love it. I think this is great. I'm like my fellow co-panelists. You need to be doing this all over the country. And look, the point is clear. If this is, if it's not good for men, it's not good for women. And look, any people out there who are saying it's a waste of taxpayer dollars, again, this is why we have to teach civics. Your job is to introduce legislation. You are absolutely doing what a legislator should do. I thank you for your service. I do not have a question, except for when are you running for federal office?
Thank you. And actually, the bill is on the committee agenda for the committee it was assigned to. So within the coming days, it'll come up in the committee, and I'll get to explain to my fellow Senate colleagues why I think it's an important bill.
All right, then. We certainly appreciate you joining us. Good luck with the bill. And let's see how these pro-lifers vote.
Yes, we'll definitely see that. Thank you all for having me. Thanks for your questions. And thanks for the nod of support when it wasn't a question, but I appreciate it.
All right, thank you so very much. All right, folks, going to a break. We come back. The lawlessness of these idiots in the White House is very clear. We'll talk about when it comes to them trying to give severance packages to federal workers and then firing members of the EEOC and the National Labor Relations Board, even though the president can't do that. It's illegal. We're going to break it all down for you right here on Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network.
Next on Get Wealthy, with me, Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, women of color are starting 90% of the businesses in this country. That's the good news. The bad news, as a rule, we're not making nearly as much as everyone else. But joining us on the next Get Wealthy episode is Betty Hines. She's a business strategist, and she's showing women how to elevate other women.
I don't like to say this openly, but we're getting better at it. Women struggle with collaborating with each other. And for that reason, one of the things that I demonstrate in the sessions that I have is that you can go further together if you collaborate.
That's right here on Get Wealthy, only on Black Star Network.
Hey, it's John Murray, the executive producer of the new Sherry Shepherd Talk Show.
This is your boy, Earthquake.
And you're tuned in to
Roland Martin Unfiltered.
Folks, the idiots running the asylum sent an email yesterday to approximately 2 million federal workers offering them a buyout to resign. Under this deferred resignation plan, employees would agree to resign now but continue receiving pay through September. Virginia U.S. Senator Tim Kaine called bullshit on this proposal.
Federal employees received an interesting email at the end of the day today. I happen to have some fellows assigned to me who are not Senate employees, but they are executive branch employees, as most of us have, working in my office. And they received an email that said, from the administration, If you tender your resignation by next Friday, we will guarantee you payment through the end of September, whether or not you show up for work. So tender your resignation, and then, boy, it's just going to be a gravy train. You're just going to get paid for 7 months without working. The president has no authority to make that offer. There's no budget line item to pay people who are not showing up for work. This is a guy who made this promise to contractors again and again and again when he was a private business guy. Oh, come work for me on my casino. Come work for me in a hotel. We're going to do a handshake. We're going to do a contract. The contractor does the work and then finds out they get stiffed. So my message to federal employees who receive this is, yeah, the president has tried to terrorize you for about a week and then gives you a little sweetheart offer. If you resign in the next week, we're just going to pay you for doing nothing for the next 7 months. Don't be fooled. He's tricked hundreds of people with that offer. If you accept that offer and resign, he'll stiff you just like he stiffed the contractors. He doesn't have any authority to do this. Do not be fooled by this guy. You were here before he was here, and you'll be here after he was here. Show up for work, be diligent, serve Americans every day, make their life better, answer their phone call, give them an answer, track down their constituent call. Don't be fooled by a fake offer that because he's terrorized you in the last week, it would be easy to just resign now and get a check for 7 months, because I can tell you that promise is worth nothing. And you will regret it just like these contractors regretted it who did work for this guy when he was a businessman.
Well, also the two-time impeached convicted criminal-in-chief fired 2 of the 3 Democratic commissioners of the federal agency that enforces civil rights laws in the workplace. The two Equal Employment Opportunity Commission commissioners, Charlotte Burrows and Jocelyn Samuels, confirmed in statements Tuesday that they were terminated late Monday night. Charlotte Burrows said in her statement, "Removing me along with Commissioner Samuels well before the expiration of our terms is unprecedented and will undermine the efforts of this independent agency to do the important work of protecting employees from discrimination, supporting employers' compliance efforts, and expanding public awareness and understanding of federal employment laws. I'm proud of the work my colleagues and I have done to help remove barriers for equal opportunity for all workers and to promote fair and non-discriminatory workplaces. While I strongly disagree with the president's actions and will explore all legal options available to me, I will continue to do all I can to fight for the rights of American workers and to support the efforts of others who do the same." Burrows, a former EEOC chair, was serving a 3rd term as commissioner that was set to end in 2028. Samuels was in her 2nd term, which was supposed to last through 2026. Both say they are looking at legal options. Under federal law, no more than 3 individuals from the same political party can serve on the 5-member commission at the same time. The firings leave the EEOC without a quorum. Only 2 commissioners remain. Both Burrows and Samuels said, this was just so crazy about it. But it's not just that. The National Labor Relations Board. Trump fired 2 Democrats on that particular board. He removed members Gwen Wilcox and General Counsel Jennifer Abruzzo. Both were appointed by President Joe Biden. Removed them late Monday night as well. They expected Abruzzo to be fired because she was general counsel and she acted as a prosecutor. But Wilcox, her term was not going to end until 2028. Wilcox is the first black woman to serve on the National Labor Relations Board. She also says she's going to be pursuing all legal avenues. Here's the deal here, Erica, that's crazy. He doesn't have, there are laws. There are actual laws. So, for instance, when he fired the 17 inspector generals, guess what? The law says he is to notify Congress 30 days before. That's a process. There are laws here of terminating board members, commissioners of the EEOC, National Labor Relations Board. What Trump is trying to do is he is operating as a dictator and saying, I have complete and utter control over everything, all laws, you name it, I control it. And he's forcing folks to sue him to overturn it. And that's why I keep saying Democrats understand they better be in court over every single action that this fool is trying to do.
Deconstruction of the administrative state is happening. And, you know, when you're talking about someone who is, as you pointed out, as felonious as he is, someone who does not respect, who has also said and has repeated that the Constitution is not something that he believes in, he wants to terminate, do away with. And you're then having him meet with Republican folks in Congress to actually look at being able to seek office for a third term. This is the person that was exactly who he said he was. He actually admires dictators. You're talking about somebody who was writing letters of affection to Kim Jong-un. You're talking about somebody who, as I call his blatty daddy, Vladimir Putin, he has a great affection for him. So none of these things should surprise us. But what should be of surprise to anyone is the level of non-action. And so as we see somebody who was trampling through federal law, who has made it his business to be very, very clear on what he will do, that non-action is not a choice because people's lives are being transformed and shifted. And when you think about federal laws, when you think about federal policy, when people don't believe that these things will affect them, well, what about the home that you're mortgaging or the apartment that you may be leasing, that the landlord may come in and say that they no longer want you in that particular space because they don't want Black people or they don't want people that have differing abilities, disabilities, or they just don't like to have women or men or people who are queer in their community and they throw you out. You're talking about then them adapting to a regime person who also is doing the same thing. So this is definitely for cause, for pause, for everyone, and for everybody who always had all of Democrats, make sure that you're having that smoke for those people who are in office, who are in charge at both the levels of government, that's Congress, Senate, and at your executive branch as well.
The thing here is that when I say a lawless person, that's who he is, Joy. This is what he is going to do. This is what he's going to continue to do. And he is going to push the boundaries. And he doesn't care about boundaries. There are no guardrails. And the Republican Party, they're a bunch of sycophants who will let him do whatever.
That's correct. So full disclosure, Charlotte Burrows is a personal friend, as is Jocelyn Samuels. I spent the entirety of my time in the Obama administration as a political appointee at EEOC and helped Charlotte set up her office in the beginning. This is a true public servant. Same thing with Jocelyn. It is a shame what's happening to them. And let's just be clear about the rules. It's one thing to fire a general counsel. It's a total other thing to fire a commissioner who's brought in for a certain term. This is an affront to Congress. This is an affront to Congress. So what we should be having is the Speaker of the House and the Senate Majority Leader, as well as their Democratic counterparts, should be suing the president. And if not them, the Democrats must do so, because this is a violation of the Constitution and the separation of powers. He's been doing it all week. What we talked about in terms of making a deal with federal employees, making an offer rather, that they can just not show up to work and get paid, that is an affront to Congress. He does not have that authority. Congress controls the purse. He does not have the authority to cut off federal funds. He does not have the authority to summarily fire people who have been presidentially appointed and Senate confirmed to a bipartisan commission for a certain amount of time. It is created so that there will be overlap amongst administration. It's a different kind of commission. So is NLRB than like a regular federal agency. They are meant to be, as Roland said earlier, bipartisan commissions and to have overlapping years. It's set up differently. Donald Trump has no authority to just go out there and do it, but he is going to demand that we sue him in order. So there's going to be a lot of injunctions that are happening, right? But it's the time and the expense that he is counting on. It's the confusion. And in the interim, it's the seizure of the work of that agency, right? So all those who filed EEOC lawsuits, those things will be hindered by this type of activity. Yep. He is an authoritarian figure.
Mondale.
Roland, here's the thing. We might say that he don't have the authority to do it, but he's damn sure showing us he's got the power to do it because he's already fired those people. All these things that the Senate Republicans and Democrats and everybody keeps saying that he don't have the power to do or the authority to do, he's done it. And what Donald Trump has a history of doing in business and in life is suing people until they're too tired or can't afford to sue him anymore. So you talk about wasting taxpayer dollars. We're about to have a federal government that's going to be in court every day about a different issue because so many people are going to be filing lawsuits. That's what's going to happen. Donald Trump is turning the federal government into the Apprentice show, offering people payouts and buyouts that you can't even do as the president. Yet and still, that kind of stress has an effect on people. And I think people are misunderstanding or misrepresenting what I think Donald Trump is trying to do. I feel like Donald Trump is trying to trigger a Supreme Court case here, knowing that when it goes to the Supreme Court, it's going to be in his favor. This is the same Supreme Court that basically told him that he's above the law and that he can do things that are outside of the law and not be punished because of who he is or what position he had, and now he's back in that position. So we should remember that this is a person that said he was running to lower the cost of eggs and he was going to do it on day one. We're on day 9 and we've seen nothing about eggs at all from this president, nothing about lowering the cost of food at all. We have seen him do and act in a way that reminds of his unsavory business practices. And I think we are about to follow in this trap if we keep allowing, and when I say we, I'm talking about the federal government, the other branches of the federal government, continue to allow this man to use this government as a tool for him to take more and more power to do as he please and play with people's lives.
What you're seeing here is he wants to be sued because he wants to go to the court so they can then say what he can and cannot do. So he wants to, like a dictator, he wants to expand the executive powers. You know, of course, he constantly whined and complained about Biden and governmental overreach, but this fool is doing it every single day. And again, for people who go, I can't believe this was all in Project 2025. It was all there. It was all there. We kept telling people, but you know what? Folks didn't believe it, so they effed around. Now they're finding out. Speaking of that, we come back. I gotta play this video because you know that little child Riley Gaines. You know Riley Gaines been complaining about transgender athletes, even though she came in 5th because she wasn't good. Well, she's now whining and complaining because her husband, who's British, might get deported. Sorry, all I have is Scarface's No Tears. I'll be right back.
Hello, I'm Isaac Hayes III, founder and CEO of Fanbase. And right now we're accepting investors in our $17 million round to revolutionize the future of social media. Today, for just $399, you can own 60 shares of stock in Fanbase at $665 a share. Go to startengine.com/fanbase and invest today. While the big platforms have grown too massive and disconnected from their users, Fanbase is building a platform where creators and users truly come first. We've already raised $4.8 million from everyday investors who believe in this vision, and now you can join them. This is your chance to invest in a social media tech company with over 1 million users that is disrupting media by allowing anyone to reach all of their following and monetize their content from day one. The market is changing, big platforms are failing to serve their users, and Fanbase is stepping up to fill the gap. Don't wait until it's too late. Invest now. Invest for yourself and your future. Go to startengine.com/fanbase and own the future of social media.
Coming soon to the Black Star Network.
But y'all, when you're on that stage or when you're seeing 2 and 3, 4 generations in the audience, that's got to speak to you about the power of what y'all have become.
Oh, most definitely. I think we were doing our show before our break,
And remember, I was watching this kid. I could not take my eyes off him because he was about 9 or so. He was sitting in the front row with his
over on the right-hand
parents.
side. Yes.
I was amazed that this kid knew everything, and I was like tripping to see how many songs this kid actually knew.
And he knew them all.
And he knew them all. We had to go over there and bring him on stage and take a picture with him, you know, at the end of the show and stuff, because it was just that amazing. It's like, this is crazy.
You know, the music travels everywhere, you know, like what Philip was saying, seeing this young kid, then you hear our songs on commercials, cold commercials. Then you have the younger ones that hear our music in animation.
Carl Payne pretending to be Roland Martin. Holla!
You ain't got to wear black and gold every damn place, okay? Ooh, I'm an alpha, yay. All right, you're 58 years old. It's over.
And you are now watching
Roland Martin Unfiltered.
Uncut, unplugged, and undamn believable.
So I gain lots of pleasure looking at these MAGA people who are now whining and complaining when they get caught and trapped into Donald Trump's immigration web. Y'all saw the video of that Latina who just cried, "Oh my God, I can't believe this here. They're deporting all of our people." We told you. So Riley Gaines, the very weak swimmer, who has become a hero on the right regarding her fight against transgender athletes, even though she got her ass kicked by women. I mean, she wasn't that good. So her husband is British, and he's here legally. So she dropped this video whining about his paperwork and about how he might get deported. And also said that if her husband could have voted, he would have voted for Trump. You have to round and find it out, huh? Watch this.
Just got another letter from Immigration Services. I've made a video about this before, but I'm a U.S. citizen, born and raised in Tennessee, went to college at University of Kentucky, met my husband there. He's an immigrant. He moved over to the U.S. for college on an athletic scholarship from England. We've been married almost 3 years now. We're coming up on 3 years. So you would think he is well on his way to achieving his citizenship, or at least having his green card, right? No, wrong. And why can't he get his green card? Because his medical records aren't complete. And what is missing from his medical record? The COVID vaccine. Like, it is the year 2025, and we are still requiring the COVID vaccine. You can see it right here. It's backwards. Disregard. Complete the COVID-19 vaccine. But this is what they do. This is what they do to people who do it the right way. I can't even tell you how much money, thousands of dollars, we have spent on the different forms and applications and immigration lawyers and all of the different things, all for everything to expire on their time anyways. And for all you people who say, "Oh, Riley, your husband's here illegally, he should be deported," just so you don't understand immigration, he is very much here legally. There are other ways to obtain residency than a green card, like visas or advanced parole. Or those of you who say, "This is what you get when you voted for Donald Trump." Obviously, my husband can't vote, but if he could, he would have voted for Donald Trump. Change is coming with the current administration, but he has to undo everything that the former administration has done to our immigration system, both legally and illegally. Oh, and when they campaigned on the tagline, "My body, my choice," this is proof they never really meant that.
Oh, so she's hurt their rules. Oh my God, what do we do, Mondale? There are rules. And so she's mad that there are rules. And so, you know, you have to have a COVID vaccine. I'm sorry, take your ass back to England.
Listen, I don't think her still ass mad about the rules. She mad they apply to her. She's upset. She was cold. She was screaming out loud so many code. I'm from Tennessee. I went to Kentucky. She said, I'm white. I'm white. Why are you doing this to me? I'm white. She thinks she's the only. She thinks the right way is if you came over here on a athletic scholarship. If you're no longer a college athlete, take your ass home. So that ain't the right way. Just because you've been married 3 years, plenty of people that have been married going through the process. He didn't go back home to England and get a K visa, a fiance visa, and then marry you. No, he stayed over here to marry you for status, and it didn't work. And vaccines, seeing vaccines as a problem is not something that that just happened under this last administration. Anybody, except for this lady, seems to understand that there are plenty of medical things that you have to have done before you become an American citizen. So if Donald Trump is planning on removing COVID or all vaccines before you become American citizens, then we're still talking about how white people want it their way for them, but not for everybody. I can't stand this damn woman.
Yeah, I can't. I can't stand her either. And when I talk about Scarface's no tears, it also applies to this woman.
What?
That we voted for Trump. We trust him with the word that he promised us Latinos. This is crazy that starting next week, multiple cities will be hitting immigration. That is so crazy that multiple people are scared to go to work. Where I work at, a lot of Latinos did not go to work, and that's crazy because we have a living too. I hate that I voted for him. Now I'm so scared for my family and y'all family. Y'all, we need to come together and do something about this.
Okay,
we gotta come together.
Baby, why are we in it? Why are we in it?
I really love how somebody put the music. Is there any music to this one? Pull it. Yeah, it is. It is. So I guess she put the music to it. I'm sorry. The tears, Joe, I really don't give a damn about. Sorry, I don't. I have no sympathy whatsoever for her.
Like none. The only tears I have are tears of laughter. Listen, goodbye. You gotta go. You voted for the wrong person. Maybe you and your friends and your family, whatever, like you voted against your family's interests. They ought to be mad at you. You are a citizen. You voted against your family. You sent them home. So they have you to blame for it. I don't even want to, it's ridiculous. The music was ridiculous. It was hilarious. Your crocodile tears is absurd. The other lady, your husband, if he really wanted to be an American, he would follow American rules. And he would get the COVID vaccination, okay? End of story. You want to be here, you follow our rules. If you don't follow our rules, you can go back to your own country. It's fine. It's fine. We don't need you. We have plenty of white people here. We don't need another. They're fine. We got plenty. And if she doesn't like it, she can go to London.
Yeah.
The funny thing is, in other countries, when you break their rules, they kick you out too.
This is a photo that's been going all around social media. It's not real, it's AI, but I think it actually speaks exactly what's going on. It's right getting it. So it is AI. This is not a real photo, but actually should be real. I'm finding delight in the MAGA tears. So allow me to play this video here of a Trump supporter who is not happy that his wife got deported.
Oops. They turned off the cameras, excuse my language, and then they took my wife.
This man who wished not to be identified says his wife is from Venezuela and has lived in the United States for a few years. She was one of 3 people taken from this home. I'm told the 2 others were men who worked in construction. You see them here. This video, only a minute and 52 seconds long, we do not see his wife being removed from the home. But this is a picture of her that he keeps in his wallet. Her name is Vianis Ramirez, and he says she was in the process of becoming a United States citizen.
She already had a court date. She was good. Everything good. He just came and they snatched her.
These are pictures from the Department of Homeland Security detaining other undocumented men and women in Broward County.
It's despicable what they're doing right now. It's very embarrassing.
President Donald Trump arrived at his Trump National Golf Resort in Doral Saturday, set to host GOP leaders for a conference. This man hopes this message makes it to him.
I get a chance to talk to you, man. Yo, please, man, let's work something out. So you, man, let me keep my wife here in the United States, man. She deserves to be here, man.
ICE reports nearly 1,000 raids in the country on Sunday alone, which is up from just under 300 on Saturday. Here at the detention center in Miramar, things have been quiet for several hours, but we will continue to monitor this situation and bring you the developing news on raids in South Florida as they happen.
No, Erica, her ass don't deserve to be here. No, you sat your ass around. You didn't fill out no paperwork. And, oh, she had an appointment. Sorry, dog, you're late. If you want to get back with your wife, take your ass to Venezuela. Y'all can live together. See, again, all these dumbasses who voted for Trump, the Latinos who voted for Trump, who said, oh, no, the others are going to get deported. No, your ass on the list. Then you got these broke-ass white people in these red states who voted for Trump, and now they freezing their money and their benefits. They talking about cutting their SNAP benefits. Hey, I'm sorry, don't come look at us. I'm telling you right now, every person who voted for Trump who's now whining about something that he did, all I'm saying is it's above me now.
It's so above us, Roland. And the food stamp videos, the food stamp videos have been unhinged. But that is because they are the largest swath, meaning white people, as recipients of food stamps. I am giggling, and here's why. Because everything was well as long as what people saw was that this cruelty was pointed directly at Black people. When they actually are in their FAFO moment and seeing that, oh, no, it's coming for y'all first. It is very much so written into the vote that you cast. You voted to be deported. So now that they're actually in the moment where they're saying that, oh, Black people aren't the footstool of cruelty, that anybody can get it, basically, that is what the giggles are brought up for me. So, there is more of this to come, particularly as more cities are targeted. And it doesn't matter. Donald Trump don't care anything about your video, honey. He don't care about your wife. He does not care. This is going to continue. Dr. Phil is very much so enjoying this. He has a whole company of people who are invested in ensuring that people who are white understand that y'all people are leaving. If you are an illegal alien, which they're not referring to you as any other type of human class, that you are leaving the United States of America. So congratulations to everybody who voted to be deported. And for every tear video, just know that we did exactly what we said we were going to do. That is why we are the #1 and #2 demographic that voted for nice things in this country. And I'm talking about Black women and Black men. But you all thought that the cruelty was for us. But you don't understand, but you are seeing now that he is an equal opportunity dictator. And you are the first ones on the menu.
Hey, it's a trip to me. I love this one here, too. Nancy Mace was sitting here talking about how she got, into the Citadel. I didn't fight like hell to become the first woman to graduate from the Citadel just for some man in a miniskirt. To take away that achievement, protecting women's accomplishments isn't a political talking point for me. It's personal. Well, that was funny because the right-wingers had to respond to her to remind her ass that, you got in because of DEI. Matt Walsh tweeted this: the girl boss feminism routine isn't just cringy, it also directly undermines our argument. The Citadel was a male-only space forced by law to admit females in the name of diversity and inclusion. That is the exact arguments trans-identifying males use to invade female spaces. Nancy Mace was literally a beneficiary of a DEI program. It's a ridiculous and tone-deaf thing to brag about in this moment. See, they love running their mouths and they get busted, Joy.
They absolutely do. As we've said many times, white women are the greatest beneficiaries of DEI, and we are proud of Nancy Mace. She was a merit-based person, even if she was in there as a part of a diversity, equity, and inclusion program. We're not going to buy into that language, but the point that they are making is core.
Nah, hell no.
Her ass.
Nah, hell no. A trifling ass got in because of DEI, so don't be sitting here trying to complain. That's like Clarence Thomas whining about affirmative action, but his ass got in for it. I ain't trying to hear that. So all these white tears, and I ain't talking about. Listen, I'm calling all of them out. Damn all of them.
I am too. I'm with you. We're calling them out. It is important to call them out. I'm right with you. She is being called out for things that are just as hypocritical. Nobody likes that. And that's the same thing with all of these people who voted. They voted against the interests of their family members. They knew there's no way you could have believed that Donald Trump was not going to deport people. Indeed, he was very clear. We might start with people who have committed crimes, but if we find anyone else in their homes with them, we're going to take them too. So that's what's happening. A lot of folks who are just sitting side by side with someone are being taken as well. This is what's happening when they go in. If they try to get into your school, thank goodness for those teachers who are blocking the doors. But if they get into your school and they come for one student and they discover other students, they will take them in as well. This is to be expected. Anna Navarro talked about it as well. We have people who are saying, we can't believe it. We didn't know it was going to be my babysitter. Absolutely, you're going to have to learn to take care of your own children. And to these middle-class Americans who don't think this is their experience, when they go to buy a home and there's no one there to build them, they're going to see higher home prices further locked out. And Donald Trump does not care about that. And Elon Musk already said he's not interested in hiring any of these dumb white Americans to do those jobs. They have made a huge mistake.
Look, Erica, it's a whole lot of crying, whining, and I'm just going to pass the cheese and crackers at the ass.
Honestly, these people voted to be deported. These people voted against, and I don't even want to say their own interests. They really voted with the thought that this was a direct attack against Black Americans, which it absolutely is in many respects. However, it does affect all. Donald Trump hates women. Donald Trump, he hates rules. Donald Trump hates paying his bills. Donald Trump hates being around people that he doesn't feel like he should have to be around. He's not a person who should have ascended to this office the second time. But for the fact that people saw racism as their way to actually humble Black Americans, to make sure Black Americans understood that, well, you actually belong at a class that's lower than us. And so this message of humility is one in which I am hoping that with each course that is being served, that folks understand that this was never just about us. If you're talking about just about us, it's those three big pieces of federal legislation that Donald Trump already was sued, him and his father, under the Nixon administration. It's the Immigration Act that allowed people who were not Black Americans to be able to come into this country and thrive. It is the blood, sweat, and tears and continued laborious voting efforts of Black people, Black organizations, and Black groups that have kept this country in some functionality of democracy. But for the fact that everyone around us believes that we needed less of the humility, Baby, the amuse-bouche is being served. Be ready for every course that follows.
I'm going to play all of the crying. I want to see all of the orange tears, Mondale.
Yeah, listen, I'm super excited. The second video that the lady said Trump need to give them what they promised. He is. He calls y'all criminals. He called you rapists. He called y'all members of the cartel. I don't know what Trump she was listening to. This man was talking about making another country build a wall. This man was talking about everybody from all of our southern neighbors being criminal elements. So this idea that you was going to get something different is that because you identify as white, you thought you had assimilated. And by you mean everybody that looked like you, everybody that you cared about. At the expense of black people is what you thought you were voting. You thought you were voting at the expense of black people. And I want to add something to what Erica said, because she said something that's powerful. People voted for Trump because of racism and because they thought black people were the footstool. And they also voted against a black woman because she was a black woman for no other reason. So I think what we're seeing right now is a good couple, your ass gonna love it. What my grandma used to tell me all the time. Hard head make a soft ass, and I'm here for it.
Absolutely.
Roland, I was just going to say one thing.
Real quick, because I got to go to break, because I got my next guest in the studio.
Sorrows, prayers. That's all I have to say. Sorrows, prayers.
All right, folks, when we come back, black leadership, when it comes to responding to the thug in chief, where are they? Well, what is also needed in this moment when we see a complete focus to eradicate civil rights? I'll talk with labor activist Tiffany Lofin about that next, right here on Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. Support the work that we do. Join our Breeding Funk fan club. Be sure to, you want to use Cash App, you can use the Stripe app, use the QR code that's right here. If you want to contribute to us via Cash App, if you're listening, go to blackstarnetwork.com for the QR code. Also, send your check and money over to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C., 2003-7-0196. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle, Roland at RolandSMartin.com, Roland at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Download the Black Star Network app, Apple phone, Android phone, Apple TV, Android TV, Roku, Amazon Fire TV, Xbox One, Samsung Smart TV. Be sure to get your merchandise. Get that shirt. Don't blame me. I voted for the black woman. And hashtag we tried to tell you, FAFO 2025. Go to RolandMartin.creator-spring.com or go to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com or the BlackStarNetwork.com. Back in a moment.
Next on the Black Table with me, Greg Carr. There's a lot of talk about the inevitability of another civil war in this country. But on our next show, we'll talk to a noted author and scholar who says we're actually in the middle of one right now. In fact, Steve Phillips says the first one that started back in 1861, well, it never ended.
People carrying the Confederate flag, wearing sweatshirts saying MAGA Civil War, January 6, 2021, stormed the U.S. Capitol, hunted down the country's elected officials, built a gallows for the Vice President of the United States, and to block the peaceful transfer of power within this country.
On the next Black Table, here on the Black Star Network.
On next, A Balanced Life with me, Dr. Jackie, the necessity of believing in things you can't see. It's called faith. It comes in all shapes and sizes, and it's powerful. And it's a big part of being able to live a balanced life.
The valley I experienced being a cancer survivor was one where my footing was completely unstable. I had no idea what to do. And in that instance of not knowing what to do, I had to rely on faith.
That's all next on A Balanced Life, only on Black Star Network.
Hatred on the streets, a horrific scene, a white nationalist rally that descended into deadly violence.
White people are losing their damn minds.
As an angry pro-Trump mob storms the U.S. Capitol, we've seen shooting.
We're about to see the rise of what I call white minority resistance. We have seen white folks in this country who simply cannot tolerate black folks voting.
I think what we're seeing is the inevitable result of violent denial.
This is part of American history. Every time that people of color have made progress,
whether real or symbolic, there has been what Carol Anderson at Emory University calls white rage as a backlash.
This is the rise of the Proud Boys and the Boogaloo Boys. America, there's going to be more of this.
Here's all the Proud Boys, guys.
This country is getting increasingly racist in its behaviors and its attitudes because of the fear of white people.
The fear that they're taking our jobs, they're taking our resources, they're taking our women. This is white fear.
What's good, y'all? This is Doug E. Fresh, and you're watching my brother Roland Martin Unfiltered as we go a little something like this. Hit it. It's real.
Hold on. So a lot of people are asking the question, where's black leadership? What's going on? Is there a plan of action? I've gotten phone calls and text messages, you name it. Folks have been saying, how do we respond in these times, these crazy executive orders, the attacks on DEI, what's going to happen with HBCUs, what's going on? A radio host, Frank Ski, was asking the same thing. He dropped a video yesterday that got lots of folks talking. Frank was a little hot, and so this is his video he posted on Instagram.
Just frankly speaking, and right now I am really upset. I am ticked off to the max. Somebody may need to walk me off this ledge because I'm about to say some things right now. And if you agree with me, tell me. If you don't, tell me. If you agree, send this out to your friends. But I got a question right now. Black leadership, whoever that might be, I don't even know. I don't even know what black leadership is now. Who's the leader in the black community? What organizations? Because I have not seen your plan to combat what is going on. Has anybody seen that plan? I follow some really smart people. I love D.L. Hughley, my guy. I love Roland Martin. Roland Martin is talking some good stuff right now. I look at Al Sharpton and what you're doing, and I saw, Al, you said, you know what, 90 days, we're going to come up with a plan to, boycott and whatever. What about 90 days ago? What about after the election? Where was the plan? We knew they did not want DEI. We knew it. We knew the programs were going to be dismantled. Why didn't we have a plan then? Why are we reacting now? Why are we playing defense now? They've been playing offense for 4 years. Project 2025 was written in 2022. We knew what it said. We had it. the presidential transition. And guess what? Donald Trump is following it to the T. He said he didn't know what it was. Did you believe him? I sure didn't. He knew what it was. He knew what they were going to do. He put the right people in the Supreme Court to make sure his things got done, and executive orders are flying off the desk. Pew, pew, pew. You know what? His people believed him. He pointed at a group of people and said, this is your problem, and I'm going to take them out of here. And that's exactly what he's doing. And guess what? The way he's doing it is nothing new. Hitler did it in Germany. Other dictators have done it before. They're following the same playbook. But guess what? We knew this was coming. We knew it. So right now, you're talking about boycotting Target now? Target may not even have wanted to have a DEI program. All they did, all these companies put in DEI programs because America was protesting back in 2020 during the George Floyd riots and all that stuff that was going on. So all these companies was like, oh, we're going to put in DEI so you still like us. We knew they didn't want to do it. A lot of people benefited from it. I get it. But where is black leadership showing us our black power? Okay? This is not the civil rights era. I understand. Okay, back when Martin Luther King Jr. had the Montgomery bus boycott, black people didn't ride the buses. They walked everywhere. Are we that people today? Are we really that people today? You know what? I don't know. I think if you say, okay, we're going to boycott Target, I'm going to walk in Target and see half the people in there still black. I don't know. I'm upset because I'm ready to get into it. I'm ready. What do I need to do? Okay, I got one voice. What I need to do. What do we need to do? Donald Trump said it, and he did it, and he's doing it. And he's putting in unqualified people that will follow him to the T. And guess what? They are politically funded. They got the judges. They got everything. Democrats, where's your plan? Where's your plan? I need to know right now. Democratic Party, where is your plan? Black leadership, what's the plan? I'm not talking about just boycotting Target. What is the plan? What are we going to do? Somebody help me. I just need to know. If you agree with me, tell me. If you don't, tell me. If you do, send this out to all your friends. I'm Frank Ski, and I'm frankly speaking.
All right, folks, joining us right now is a labor activist, Tiffany Lofin. Cowgirl. She saw my hat over there, so she's trying to get her Van Lathan on.
Shout out to Van Lathan. Shout out to my brother Van Lathan.
And Van all of a sudden start wearing the cowboy. I'm like,
why is he doing that? He's from Louisiana.
I don't know.
What is he doing? Baton Rouge.
His family lived for a time in Houston. But
he ain't no cowboy in L.A., though.
Well, I know. I don't know.
Love you, Van.
I have no idea. So Frank was hot. I saw
that.
And I've heard that sentiment from a lot of people that they are disappointed. I've had people, used to be the NAACP National Youth Director. I've had people saying, where in the hell is the NAACP? Other than issuing statements and asking for donations. I've heard that.
Yep.
I've heard people saying, yo, where's the National Urban League?
Yep.
You saw him challenge West River to Sharpton. And
Democrats.
And they said, it's like, matter of fact, people were like ripping Congressman Hakeem Jeffries for his, the Lord is in control. Now everybody, we all love the Lord. They're like, that's the best you can do. So
what happened to faith without works?
What are you hearing? What has been the conversation that you've been hearing among folks in the activist space?
Let me say a few things. One, I've heard from people inside the NAACP call me and ask me for advice about what the NAACP should be doing in this moment, because all they are doing is passing statements. I want to, I'm nice, so I want to give grace to what's happening right now. There are people who are pissed off and upset, and there are people who are tired and frustrated and angry and who have given up. And I think that if we pay attention to both of those groups of black folks, then we have to give space to some people don't know what to do in this moment. And I would argue that—
But that's the form of leadership.
Some people don't know what to do in this moment. They have not surrounded themselves with people who have ideas on what to do because they don't trust other people what to do. And frankly, a lot of people are scared. They think that if they stick their neck out there and fight back on DEI, if they protest and say what they're going to do against Donald Trump, that he's coming for them next, and they actually are. You know, I'm a labor union organizer right now. I'm helping to organize 28,000 flight attendants at Delta Airlines. They're fighting to get their contract in their union. And what he just did to the National Labor Relations Board, we're like holding our breath.
Right.
What are you going to do with the National Railroad Labor Act? And what you going to do with the National Mediation Board? What's going to happen? So there is fear that's happening right now, and trying to move people out of that to ask them what they're going to do is really important. But I've been hearing from activists and organizers, and even like regular folks on my social media and my DMs, of what are we going to do in this moment, that people need to figure out a plan. They don't want to do it publicly on social media. They want to be a part of organizations that can help them figure it out. And I don't know if I can say this on TV. I don't know if I'm going to get in trouble for this. But people have been talking about what other countries have done to mirror what has happened now. People have ran coups. And to be honest, I think Donald Trump got into office because he ran a coup. So the question needs to be, are we going to let this go another 4 years? It's only been 14 days or whatever it's been. And is there a way for us to say what he is doing we know is illegal? We can't just challenge it legally because we know that he controls the courts. He's doing things that are not in his job description.
Not completely.
Not completely, but mostly.
I got you.
So,
I mean,
follow me.
There are conservative judges, but there also are conservative judges. That like
we'll hold them accountable.
Like that Reagan-appointed judge who ripped the Department of Justice for I forgot what the case was, but he was like, "Are y'all really that dumb?"
Right.
I mean, he just totally ripped them to shreds. And I said, hopefully you have those type of judges still exist. But go ahead.
Hopefully. But we know where the Supreme Court sits and some other places. He's been playing chess for a long time. I mean, it was said in the video. Project 2025 was written in 2022, and he's been moving on those pieces.
But that's the thing I think.
And we have not.
The reason I think what people need to understand, and I get the trepidation, I get people who say, I'm tired. The reason I can't accept that is because, thank God, previous generations didn't check out.
Thank God.
Thank goodness.
Thank God.
Okay.
Thank God.
And so,
but people deserve a break.
People do deserve a break.
Okay.
But the reality is, anybody who was paying attention could have seen that this was coming. That this could happen.
We talked about it here on the show.
Right. And so that's why I'm like, people kind of like shocked and stunned. I'm like, what the hell are y'all talking about?
Yeah.
But the thing here is that what people need to understand, the mistake that people are making, they're making this about Trump. Trump is the conduit.
Yes.
He was always the Trojan horse. The Heritage Foundation, the right wing, their goal always was, they've been pissed off since the Civil Rights Movement. They want to completely get rid of the civil rights infrastructure. And that, to me, is what people have to understand what we're battling. I mean, we're talking about literally the game, and for the people, and there's people out there, oh man, ain't nothing changed. That's a lie. But the reality is, they want to get rid of the entire infrastructure. So this is not a moment for leadership to be checking out. This is the moment where people are saying, who can I listen to? Who can I follow?
They're looking for leadership.
Yeah, they're looking for it.
And they're looking for the opposite of Donald Trump, right? Like, who is going to push? Oftentimes people will say we need to save and restore what we had, and people are looking for somebody who's going to say, what more are we going to do to rebuild, protect, and advance the stuff that Black people and people of color have been going through? So I agree 100%. You know, I think what's interesting about this moment is, why have people not stepped up? And can we, this is my question, can we challenge people to step up respectfully and call them in without destroying our own stuff? I mean, I don't want to put out people's information and details, but color of change is gone. Rashad Robinson had to step down at the end of last year.
Yep.
So if we talk about who the other people are right now, how do we call them in so that they can? And you and I have been pushing some of these people.
Well, I think that it's interesting because in one of our text chains, I posted Frank's video.
Yeah.
And one of the brothers responded, you know, well, this is a bit unfair because we're out here doing the work. I said, but do folks know you're doing the work?
No.
And what I said was, I said, you can't talk about we're doing the work if you do not have a communications mechanism where you're talking to the people.
People need to know you're
So
doing
if you're not talking to Black radio, if you're not talking to Black newspapers, you're not talking to Black podcasts, you're not talking to Black digital shows, you're not talking to Black-owned media, we know mainstream ain't gonna talk to you. So if you're not communicating in those spaces, no one knows what you're doing. It's the exact same thing that I've always said to fraternities and sororities, to Prince Hall Mason, the Eastern Star. I'm like, y'all keep saying all the stuff that we're doing, But if the folk never see you or hear you, don't know what you're doing, you're not communicating through these mediums, it's called mass media for a reason, they don't know. And so this is a moment, I just fundamentally believe, this is a moment that people are saying, please, can somebody at least make a cogent argument in terms of what we should be doing? You know, even when you look at these calls for the boycott of Target, it's interesting. You have Nina Turner's organization has called for this. It's supposed to start February.
We Are Somebody or something.
February 1st, Strike for All. Strike for All. It's supposed to start February 1st, but it's amazing how so many of these other legacy organizations have said nothing. Okay, so are you with it?
That's because they in bed with Target.
But see, that also that people have to understand. One of the fundamental problems that we're facing is that
we depend too much on these corporations.
Yes, so it's hard to combat corporations when you rely on them to fund your group.
And you want to be cool and kiki with them, right? So then the question becomes who's serving the black people, and that's why you have that call to action of who the leaders are going to be. So and then what plan are you sharing? Because I'm going to be honest with you. There are people who are doing work. Who has the plan? I actually disagree that the plan should be shared publicly. That's just me as a strategist and organizer. I don't think everybody should know what the heck we want to do.
I agree.
But I do think that, to your point about mass media, the only way I said this to my students. I'm organizing United States Student Association, how you met me in the beginning. And this is a moment for us to also recruit other people who want to be a part of the work. There are people who are begging us that they want to get involved. He said at the end of his video, let me know what I need to do. I'm down to help. There are a lot of people who feel that way. Some of us are tired, but there's a lot of people who feel like they want to help and get involved. But if you don't share the work that you're doing, people don't know how to plug in and get involved.
Yeah, like I tell people I'll say this here. I also think that part of the problem is that when people talk about coverage, they talk in white media.
Sure.
I think that's where white validation comes in because that's what they really want. And it's interesting. When we did the show in Atlanta and the one in New York with the union that's trying to unionize the ramp workers. Here's what's interesting. Here's what.
Oh, I am. Shout out to I am.
Right. Here's what Delane told me. He said, we did all the normal things. He said, Washington Post, New York Times, Atlanta Journal-Constitution, we took out ads, billboard, all this sort of stuff. He said, we got virtually no traction. He said, but when we did your show, and look, they funded the opportunity.
Yeah.
He said, the calls that we got, he said that completely jump-started. He said, because 90% of the workers in Atlanta are black.
That's right.
All of it. He was like, yo, he said, we had trouble trying to get the cards after that show. And then doing the one in December, he said they probably going to call for the election in 2 months. And we were on a call and he was trying to explain to 3 other unions why they should be financially supporting this show and working with messaging. And they've been, oh, well, we don't know. He's like, I'm trying to tell y'all.
Yeah.
This was the end result, but it's a perfect example of everybody always say, but see, what they really want CNN.
Yeah, because
they really want MSNBC.
Yeah,
they really want the New York Times and Washington Post.
That's right.
And my whole deal is they ain't calling you.
That's right.
So if Frank is saying, holla at me, every major black organization should have been, yo, when can we come on?
That's right.
We want to pick Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Monday,
Tuesday. But this goes back to your first question. You wonder why they're not doing that, Roland?
Because they ain't got nothing to say.
That's exactly. This is the honest show. Let's be for real. People don't know what to do. They don't have a plan. People are trying to figure out the plan. They should have had the plan. He's right. They should have had the plan before he got elected because we talked about that here on this show. We knew that he was going to get rid of DEI, which I should remind people because I just got finished talking to my students about this. The whole reason why Donald Trump would get rid of DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion, is because he doesn't want diversity. He doesn't want other people to be involved in his decision-making process. He damn sure don't want equity. He doesn't want people to have the same thing so they can all participate and be a part of the process. And he doesn't want diversity, equity, inclusion. He doesn't want inclusion because he doesn't want people to be a part of the decision-making process. He wants to be the only one making decisions. And if you're not a billionaire, trillionaire, or you can be a part of his strategy to make sure that we are as white as possible, he doesn't even want you to sit at the table with him. So, you know, I just got finished doing a training training, Roland, for SEIU. Shout out to April Jerry, who just became the new president of SEIU. And they have now merged with the AFL-CIO, and they have this national call to get to 30% union density across the country in the next couple of years. That is the plan. The plan is we need more workers to be a part of unions. We need more workers to organize and bargain for their contracts. We need more workers to partner with the community members. And Roland, between you and I, because we're in a bunch of group chats together, our people, black folks, black civil rights leaders, black leaders, whoever they are, because I also got to, you know, if we're going to be real honest, I got a question about who our leaders are and how we define them. But the question then becomes, are those people working together to create a plan? And if so, where are they gathering and how is that happening? I think we've been so siloed because people have different folks that they're sleeping in bed with, like a Target or like a Twitter or like an Instagram or like a Donald Trump, or whatever it might be, that they're not coming together to make that plan and work together, and we need to do that.
So when we talk about, you know, again, what frustrates me. And so last week, there was a demand diversity roundtable.
I saw that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't even know.
Yeah, I saw it after. I didn't even know what was happening.
Right, I didn't even know it was called.
Yeah.
And this is what here's what frustrates me.
Mm-hmm.
Folk who were in, so y'all, if you go to my iPad, it's streaming. So the National Urban League had streamed it. And what frustrates me is
who's on air?
At least half of the people. Not at least half. Every black person in this round table. Every black person in this round table got my number.
I about to say, you know them.
Everyone. Not my email, they got my cell phone. Nobody talked about that they were doing this. That thing was last week. It's gotten 5,000 views on the Urban League's page. I think TV One restreamed it. It got 0 views. But what ticks me off is, okay, so how did these folk come together to do a round table? First of all, you just don't throw that together.
No.
I'm like, who did y'all tell?
Mm-hmm.
So what was the communication strategy? Mm-hmm. Who do you share it with? And that's what drives me crazy. So this actually happened, and so folk are sitting around, and literally nobody said a word.
I didn't know until after it happened.
So
days later.
So my deal is, how do you have this big demand diversity roundtable, and you don't even talk to black-owned media?
Isn't that wild? In the middle of people asking for a plan and talking about DEI disappearing, you want to have a thing, you don't tell nobody.
This is what I think Frank is talking about, and what drives me crazy. And again, every black person sitting at that table got my number. And this is not just about, oh, well, this ain't about kissing up to me. Ain't nobody covering black news every day.
Yeah.
And I'm like, so having a round table that nobody knows about, to me, is a tree falling in the forest. Ain't nobody heard it.
Ain't anybody heard it. Ain't nobody even know what happened. My mama used to say all the time, if it's not written down and they didn't hear about it, it didn't happen. And didn't nobody know this happened because we didn't see it. I found out days afterwards on social media because somebody else posted and shared it. And I don't know what came out of the round table.
That's my hope.
Oh, okay, we're on the same page about that.
That's my whole point.
Because I thought you knew what came out of it.
No, I don't.
Came out of it? Oh.
No one has communicated what's next, whatever. So to me,
is this a series? Is it gonna happen other places?
Like what?
We need to pull together our own.
And it's just, it drives me. Well, how I've operated. I'm gonna go to the panel in a second. How I've operated is, one, I've been in different group chats, and we need to get on the Zoom. We need to have a meeting. We need to have it.
Wait, pause. Let me tell you, people. Hold on. Sorry, I know you didn't talk. Let me tell you something. Let me tell y'all something. Y'all see Roland as the host of the Roland Martin Unfiltered show. What you don't often see is Roland as an organizer. And I know that he don't introduce himself that way, and he introduces me that way, but he is organizing black leaders, black civil rights leaders, black community leaders, black faith leaders, community activists, young people who want to get involved in the fight. And I know that somebody probably told you already how annoying these group chats get, but I'm gonna tell you something. Everything that happens that we need to organize can't happen publicly. So he's gathering people who actually don't, can I cuss?
Yeah.
Who don't fuck with each other, if I'm being honest.
Right.
Am I being honest?
You've been honest.
Roland would put people who don't fuck with each other in the same group chat and make us work together, and it really helps us show each other's colors. Are you in this work and are you doing this service for real, or are you just doing it because you have a title and you want to be in your position? And I think that people need to understand that you actually do that work as well. You do defend and fight for and then expand black media, but you are also organizing all the people so that you can amplify all the work people is doing.
Right.
But you and I both know that people are not really doing a lot of work.
And I'll literally say, if y'all doing something, let me know. We'll put it on.
You're just a text message away.
And part of the reason why I do that is because, one, it's like...
why do you do that?
Because one, if I got 20 people in a text message, if you trying to text folk individually, if you say, hey, this is what you're doing, everybody find out at one time. Everybody's finding out at once. So now you're sharing. The whole point is share. I've always made it clear, one group can't do everything.
Yeah.
But if what you doing, what you doing, what you doing, what you doing, and we're aware of what folks are doing, then you can actually build coalition.
And people collaborate in these group texts all the time. Yeah, about events,
and
about
so that's the thing that's why I do that. And what drives me crazy is when I'm the only one posting, folks silent, and it's like, oh, because I've been talking about this I'm like preparing for the DEI battle for the last 3 years.
Yes, indeed.
Folk ignoring it.
Yes, indeed.
And what pisses me off is there'll be more responses to happy birthday. Yeah, I said it. There'll be more responses in a group to somebody happy birthday.
This wasn't supposed to be personal.
No.
I know.
What I'm saying is this is multiple birthdays.
Happy birthday, by the way. We love you.
No, this is multiple birthdays. But I posted happy birthday. And
everybody,
8, 9 folk respond.
Look, I posted a selfie in the chat.
8, 9 folk respond, but when it's something major,
it's easy.
Ain't nobody saying nothing.
It's easy.
And that drives me crazy.
Can we be honest? No, I shouldn't do that. I can't expose people like that. Never mind.
But I just, and people need to understand, it's multiple groups. Listen.
Look, I'm going to say it. I'm not going to put details.
I took off, let me understand how I operate. I remove the head of a major religious domination because he wasn't saying shit for 2 years, and I said, you wasting space. I created the chat so I could. I took his ass off.
You ain't never kicked me out the chat.
And then they had an election.
Yeah.
And I met one of the brothers running. I said, y'all president don't do shit.
That's right.
And he was like, damn. I said, I'm just telling y'all. So I'm like, I'm not playing this game because I'm tired of people saying, and for everybody to understand something, it's a civil rights chat, that's one. It's another, I call that Black Power 2. That's another chat. There's a movement leader chat.
Yep. I'm in all three, by the way.
I'm on a black media journalism chat.
I'm not on it.
I got the last 5 AKA presidents, the last 5 Delta presidents, the last 5 Alpha presidents on each separate one. Oh yeah. So basically, so we talk about black leadership. So when something hits, I drop to all of them because I don't assume somebody watches the show because that's part of the deal. We have the communication tool sitting in our hand. Why in the hell we don't use it?
So let me ask you this. First of all, I didn't know you got all those damn chats. Don't put me in all of them. I'm in 3, and I like...
Well, you can't be in the alpha one. No.
I'm clearly a God-driven individual.
But even that one, that's just the presidents.
That's a big deal.
So I got...
That's dope.
I don't have conversation with... I ain't talking to no...
Sure.
This ain't no disrespect to low-level people, but I ain't doing that.
Sure.
So I'm going...
He's not calling me low-level. He's talking about everybody else.
I'm just saying... So
what has to happen is this. There are people in that chat who find opportunities to be able to work together.
Right.
Strategies. When that Target stuff happened, we all was talking about the Target stuff and what we need to do about it and how we move it. There's another step that needs to happen after that.
Yes.
Which is, in my opinion, like, what is going to be the course of action?
Yes.
And how are we going to fundraise, recruit other people, and talk about it on black media?
Yes.
That has not happened yet.
Well, but I'm going to give you one, and I ain't got a problem saying it. I talk to the public. Then I'm definitely going to Joy, Mondale, and Erica.
Which is to say to our people that we do get along and we're working together, but people need to make the plan.
So in 2023, Congressman Stephen Horsford called for a it was this emergency meeting dealing with the issue of black wealth. And it was at CBCF, at CBCF. And I'm like, okay, all right. So I get the invite, and so we go into the meeting. We go into the meeting, and he's sitting in the middle of the table. To his left is Robert Smith, the richest African American in America.
Mm-hmm.
To his right is Congresswoman Maxine Waters.
Mm-hmm.
To her right was Diddy. In the room was Reverend Sharpton, Mark Morrell, Derek Johnson, Samantha Tweedy, Black Economic Alliance. It was like 40, 50 other people. So the first thing I'm going like, it's too many people in this room.
Mm-hmm.
But okay, ain't my meeting. It
was a meeting or a panel?
No. It was a meeting. It was built as this emergency meeting. So I was kind of like, okay, all right, this ain't my meeting.
Right.
So we sitting in the meeting, and he's laying out, this is what's going on, and it's an emergency meeting, and okay, all right. So they talking about issue of wealth and what we got to do in this battle and this fight and all these things that's going on, and I was kind of like, okay, all right, like I'm down with it. So we're sitting there, and then Representative Waters talks about, she says in there, I know for a fact she's lit. Roland Martin been fighting specifically with black media, so everybody talking about what need to come down, and what Ed Bloom's doing, we need to protest, and do this, and do that, and do this, do that. And I then I said, let me be perfectly clear, all this sounds great, but unless you have a communication strategy to communicate to the people on what the plan is, this will not be able to succeed.
That's right.
All right. So we sitting there. That's September 20, 2023. And 6 months later, I go,
where
the follow-up? Like, we met, because I don't believe, that's why typically I don't go to the first meeting. I tell me, invite me to the follow-up meeting, send me the minutes, because most times it's not a follow-up.
Tell me where the work is, yeah.
So, 6 months, we'll be working on some stuff, blah, blah, blah. Okay. 6 months, nothing. And then in December 2024, the CBC released their letter to corporate America to call on for them to defend diversity. And I went, we waited 14 months for a letter. That was it. There was nothing. And I'm sitting there going, y'all, this is coming. I mean, I remember at 2023 NAACP Image Awards, I'm on a panel, and the whole panel's on DEI, and I was like going off, and like Jalen Rose, Kenyon Barris, my man who runs the Hollywood branch NAACP, Kyle Bowser, and they were like, yo, dog, you were going in. They were like, you were talking so much.
Now you see what?
Because I literally was saying, y'all.
Now you see what?
This shit is about. I was like, this shit cute. But I'm telling y'all what's about to happen. I'm talking about Leon and Chill was sitting right there. I said, I'm telling y'all.
Yep.
All this shit is about to go.
Yep.
All this cute little talk, I said, unless folks thought I was crazy. They thought I was too rambunctious, too loud. But what drove me crazy was, I'm like to the CBC, 14 months, you release a letter. That's it? We gather, and that's out of this meeting, out of all these folks in the room.
All those power players in the room.
A letter. And I'm sitting here like, that's bullshit, and why I can't stand those meetings. And that's why the public's like, yo, man, y'all ain't doing nothing, because we gathered for a meeting, and all that came out of a meeting was a letter. And I think that's where people are struggling right now, because companies were pulling DEI last year. This was coming. So now all of a sudden, because of what Target did, hell, Walmart did it.
Amazon did it.
What was the reaction?
Yeah.
Look, I'm going to go ahead and say it, and I'm going to
Before
Mondale
you go there,
first.
I got one more thing to say.
I'm going to Mondale first.
Oh, okay.
I literally
Mondale.
hit the CBC when Amazon made their decision.
Yeah.
I sent a text message, I don't care, to 10 CBC members and said, the title sponsor of your Congressional Black Caucus Foundation annual legislative conference just pulled DEI. Are y'all gonna say anything?
And what'd they say?
Nobody responded to the text.
Oh, okay, great. It's not an emergency then. Wonderful.
And I'm like, your title sponsor.
And when is CBC coming up in September?
I said,
we clock them.
They your title sponsor.
This is what the kids are doing. We clock them.
They your title sponsor because they wanted they black stamp of approval.
Yeah.
Y'all gonna say something?
Yeah, we clocking CBC.
Nothing was said. Your point, then we're going to Mondale. Go.
Go ahead, Mondale. I'm sorry, I've been talking a lot. I won't forget.
Mondale, go.
What's up, Tiff? What's up, Roland? Thank you. Listen, let's be clear, guys. If you ask the majority of black people, black voters right now, they will tell you that there are no black leaders, especially as we're talking about black men, millennials, and the generation behind them. If you ask them, they would say that they don't have any black leaders. They think themselves to be them leaders, and they're not following anybody that's not in their trusted messenger space. They're not taking their word for anything. So I think the disconnect is beyond just not having a communication plan, which is extremely important, and also the fact that people were complaining. We saw this, Roland, we talked about this several times, how people were complaining that you got a bag, but they ain't had nothing to say about CNN and everybody else getting paid for media. So
Hold up. They didn't say nothing. BT got $10 million. And that money went to Sherry Redstone. So Negroes complaining about how I got $350,000 advertising, which it should have been $3 million, but BT got $10 million. See, and this is the stupid part that people who were whining and complaining, I'm gonna let you finish, but I need to understand something. They were bitching and moaning about that, but they didn't say nothing the fact that the campaign spent $600 million. $600 million. And how much went to black media? See, also, for all the Negroes who were complaining, what they didn't realize, I was standing alone kicking the campaign's ass in September 2023. Black media, black media, black media. And there were some Negroes in black media who rolled up on me at the Democrat National Convention trying to say, we hear you the man. And I'm like, where y'all been for 7 months? And so it amazes me when Negroes complain that we got advertising money because we actually have advertising, but they ain't say shit about the white companies, Sinclair, Liberty, Comcast, Time Warner, Warner Discovery, Fox News, Disney with ABC, we get CBS, the millions they got. But go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I think what happens, that's the first part. The second part is we have to be honest. We have to disconnect ourselves from the political calendar and ensure that if we're trying to reach voters who don't see themselves in the political space, meaning they don't follow political news, they're not political junkies, and they're disconnected because life is lifing. If these people are working for minimum wage, which they shouldn't be, if these people are working 3 and 4 jobs, which they shouldn't be, then we can't expect them to have enough time to understand what's going on politically in this country, and especially if you got to add that they're black to that. So I think what we need to do as black people who call ourselves black leaders, we need to make sure that our organizations or organizations we have reach to are engaging these people right now to talk about 2026 election. For me, I feel like the shortness of the Democratic Party
not even 2026. They're elections in 2025.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. I mean, Virginia, Kentucky, some of those states have gubernatorial, New Jersey, gubernatorial elections and statewide elections. But all the municipal elections, even me as a mayor right now, there's an election right now for this seat. But I think people forget that in order to be able to influence someone beyond what the world believes that a famous black man can tell black men how to vote. That ain't gonna work. You have to have the trust of those people, and meaning you've done something, you've been there without an ask. You are trying to move their lives beyond survival to the point they can enjoy and exist. So I think we as black men at Black Men Voter Project, this is why we don't talk to college educated brothers. This is why we don't have work for brothers who are already super voters. We spend our time dealing with the bulk of the 9.6 million black men that are registered in this country that don't do politics in a normal way. So you'll see us in nightclubs, you'll see us with the battle rappers, you'll see us doing work with the world called gang members, we call them street tribes, engaging brothers of that ilk to bring them into political fold, because that's the only way we're going to expand the electorate.
I'm going to go to Erica here. Erica, before I do that, I hate when people say stupid stuff they don't think I read. So Wisdom said, Roland needs to stop the N-words too. That's embarrassing. I don't use the N-word.
You said Negro.
I don't use it.
You didn't use it?
I do not use it. So don't you ever say some bullshit like that again. Also, Tabitha said, you need to be talking about reparations. Tabitha, let me help you out.
Oh my God.
Who's gonna give you reparations? House, Senate, President? Can you name, do you know who controls the House, Senate, and the presidency? Republicans. Can you name me one Republican in the House that actually supports reparations. You need 218 votes. I need you to name me one. Then you need to find 217 more. Then tell me the 60 senators that actually going to support it. And then tell me if Trump support it. So while you sitting there talking about we need reparations, how in the hell are you going to get it when the party that's in power right now is absolutely against it, and they took away DEI, they're targeting critical race theory, and you actually think reparations is going to be on their agenda? Oh, by the way, if you're talking about supporting reparations, you probably need to find out if the people in power actually support it. The answer's no.
I do trainings on power mapping if you'd like to come. That might be helpful.
Erica, go ahead.
Oh my gosh, very helpful. Yeah, very good to see you again, Tiffany Lofin. And so one of the things that I'm thinking about, because in the years that this show has been airing on TV One and now on Roland's platform, the question always comes back to, will the real leader stand up? And so now that we're in this time and have been having these conversations for years about the apartheid state that is coming, about being better prepared, about not waiting until the last minute to inform people or shame people into voting. But yet here we are again. And so there's kind of like the reaction feast that's happening. I'm wondering, particularly from a media lens, because we do know as far as Black media, who goes, who travels, who's present, who shows up, who delivers concise, truthful news. I'm wondering, is this really the time now to actually, and I don't want to say put on blast, but actually say out loud, who has a plan? Show up with your plan. If you do not have a plan, then this is what we're looking to go forward and do, because the addiction to having meetings and not doing anything for people that are wearing leadership titles, for people who are in positions, but they're only dressing up and not doing the work, that needs to be, to some degree, for people to be made aware, and for there to be, will the real leader stand up for that kind of, the pageantry needs to win for whomever the real leaders are.
Erica, I'm going to add one thing. Erica, I'm going to add one thing. You said, who has a plan? But I need to add a second thing. Who's also doing the work?
That's what I was going to say.
Because there's
hold on, don't say it. I'm going to say it. Go ahead, Erica, finish. Wait, I'm going to say it. Go ahead.
Well, and want to hear all of it. Who has the plan and who's executing the plan, and then have those people speak out to what we will do, because the pageantry days are over.
Yep.
That is no longer. We're operating under a regime who, as we've said for years, Tiffany, Steve Bannon said it very loud, and this has been 6 decades plus in the making. We are here to deconstruct the administrative state.
Yep.
That is now what we're seeing right now. So the days of pageantry are over. Mm-hmm. Congratulations for what you have been in the position to do. But is this now a moment to take a very strong infrastructure, which is Roland Martin Unfiltered, and then perhaps, I don't know, take a week and do a marathon? Will the real leader stand up? This is the strategy. This is the plan. I'm just kind of like spitballing here, but is this now the time to do that?
Yes, 100%. And I'm so glad, first of all, I agree with what both of you all said. Will the real leader stand up is such an important phrase to use because it helps identify who's doing the work, as Roland said. But let me do the division for us now. Also, I didn't realize how big this hat was on my head, and you didn't tell me I looked this goofy. Okay, so I just saw myself on the camera. Okay, let me say this.
Here's my hat. About my damn hat.
I said it looked big on me.
Don't me
hate. Your head is bigger than mine.
You ain't got that swag.
I don't have a head that big.
You ain't got that swag.
Look, this is what I'm gonna say. We have a criteria already, all of us in the Black community and then some. This is the criteria. You are not a leader because you have a title. You are not a leader because you write a letter. You are not a leader because you have the biggest march. You're not a leader because you are friends with corporations and Elon Musk and fundraise the most amount of money. Clearly, those things have not proven that folks can be successful in advancing the work and reducing harm and violence in our communities. What people got, I'm looking at my phone because I wrote the notes down. I didn't want to interrupt y'all and forget what I was going to say. I agree 100% about midterms as a timeline. I also think that people need to stop just building programs and build real power.
Yep.
And the only way you do that is not through marches or letters, because Trump does not care. The same way the question was asked on the YouTube about reparations, which is, I think, such a tone-deaf question to ask in this moment. If we are considering how much we have lost in the last few days, then reparations is not going to be on anybody's priority list. We got to figure out how we protect our people in the community and in the field. In Los Angeles, my home city, had the fires. We got to protect the 48,000 people who are unhoused and homeless in Los Angeles. We have other bigger fish to fry, as my auntie might say. He does not care about letters. Donald Trump does not care about letters. He does not care about marches. We need to build real power, and this is what that looks like. My question for the leaders who need to stand up is who actually has a strong field organizing program? What organization has a department with a strong organizing director, a strong field program, field organizers across the country, presidents and leaders and activists who are part of an organization? If Roland right now needs to go to Omaha, Nebraska, can he call on these different organizations to say, bring your people out?
No.
If I go to Tallahassee, Florida, because I'm organizing the Rattlers at FAMU, can I call these other organizations to come and turn people out very quickly?
If I go to Omaha, Nebraska, I'm calling the pastor of Salem Baptist Church.
Also, I'm going to Omaha, Nebraska on the 1st of March. I'm just speaking there for the women who are supporting reproductive justice and rights. So y'all should turn out to that event on March 1st. I'll get the deadlines posted to my social media later.
So I need people also to understand, and I'm going to go to you, Joy, that we're talking about work. We're talking about follow-up. We're talking about follow-through.
I'm talking about leadership development.
Right,
Add that
right,
to the
absolutely.
list.
But also putting your money where your mouth is.
That's right.
And so I've seen, there were 3 individuals in the past week who I've seen commenting a lot on social media. We need to be supporting black institutions. We got to have our own media, building our own ecosystem. And so I called Keenan. I said, Keenan, can you run their names to see if they are among the 35,000 donors to the Black Star Network? Nope. Each person, nope. So it's very interesting to see people say, we need this, and see on that particular point there, when we talk about organizations,
come on.
I can tell y'all right now, the 2 organizations, the 3 organizations.
Everybody buckle up.
That have been participants in funding. No, 4.
Oh, okay.
The 4 organizations. Number 1. The 4 organizations.
Buckle up.
The 4 organizations that have consistently supported this show day one financially. Black Voters Matter.
Come on, Natasha and Cliff and April.
Reverend Barbara and Repairs of the Breach.
Let's go.
Melanie Campbell's National Coalition of Black Civic Participation.
Happy birthday, Melanie.
And John Hope Brown's Operation Hope.
I don't know who that is.
Those are 4. Now, Urban League has done something with us for 2 years. Nothing in the last 6 years from the NAACP. And I'm saying all of that because, and I can start naming other groups, but I named y'all the 4, okay? That's it. So when people are also talking about how we need to be supporting and building institutions, remember when Dr. King gave that speech April 3rd, 1968, and when he said we need to be putting our money in black banks, he said we, SCLC, opened a bank account, and he named the bank in Memphis.
Come on.
When black leaders come in front of you talking about what we need to do, our response should be, are you doing what you say what we need to do, so then you lead by action? Joy.
Let me just say, I love so much about this conversation. This has been fantastic. One of the best I've seen on any kind of production. I have worked with all of the groups you've talked with. I'm an alumnus of the Urban League, and Melanie's a client. Happy birthday, sis. We love you. Let me tell you that everything you are saying is right. They are doing the work, but nobody knows about it because our comm shop is not what it needs to be. We have got to improve that, and not just black groups, Democrats in general. When I look at how often Donald Trump has been on TV this week, peddling his lies, his shameful things that he's been doing, the evil things that he's been doing, but he's been on TV and everyone knows he's been doing them. We do not do that, those of us who are on the progressive end of things, and it is malpractice. But while we're in the spirit of calling people in, and I would say even calling people out, we have to talk about calling out philanthropy. and in particular, white philanthropy that supports these organizations. I can tell you specifically that many of the times when it comes to our civil rights groups, they say, well, we don't support you because you get money from corporations, so we think you don't need the money. So then you respond to them and say, corporations do not support the activism end of our work. The work that would actually go towards the things you claim are your priorities. Philanthropy has completely failed us in this moment. Some of these groups would have more independence if they had philanthropic organizations that were saying, if you lose any dollars because of what you were saying, we will replace it. If you lose some of your grants, we will replace it. Without doing that, then some of those organizations have a choice. They can be loud about everything. They can be doing the work privately. They can be loud about everything. But if they lose their money and they close their doors, then, then no one will be there. So I just want to add another layer to this. White philanthropy, if you are hearing my voice, and the Black people who work there, because some of them are friends, you all have failed us. You are not organized. You have not done the work. You should have been preparing when we were telling you to prepare in the event that Kamala does not win. You need to be ready with a strategy and ready to fund, ready to give money. And you don't have to pick and choose. You all have so much money you can give to everything. And when you give, then it will force others to give. Others who are in the private donor market will also give, but they need to see those large philanthropy dollars go there as well.
Well,
and that includes funding organizations like yours, Roland. They need to be funding the ecosystems that will actually drive voters out who aren't looking at CNN, MSNBC, and BBC, whatever. They are looking at smaller news networks that have huge impact, but targeted ones, trusted voices that they believe in. So I'm so thrilled to be on this network, so thrilled to be working with you. But let's not forget philanthropy. They are not the leaders we need in this moment.
Well, first of all, I've made it clear that if we have to depend on white philanthropy, then
we ain't gonna make it.
We got a problem. And let me be real clear. And when I hear Black folks say what we cannot and cannot do, we purposely did not do, like I just subscribed to Michael Harriot's Contraband Camp, and it's like $59.99 a year. I purposely did not do a subscription for this show. There are people who've given $1, $5. So I want information to be wide and available. But again, what your priorities are determined by how you spend your money.
Yes.
And that's what we have to understand. The space that we're in right now, Tiffany, we're about to close this out. I know we're over time. But the space that we're in, people are starving right now.
Yeah, they are.
For somebody to communicate to them something that's sensible, that makes sense in what they can do. Mm-hmm. They are begging for it. And traditional organizations are not speaking to them. They're not addressing them. And again, what I keep saying, if you are having insular conversations amongst yourselves and you are not reaching out to Black radio, Black newspapers, Black digital shows, Black podcasts, well then who the hell are you communicating with? Who are you talking to? And if you are major civil rights organizations and your PR firms are white owned, maybe that's also part of the problem because you're not employing Black PR firms to communicate to your people.
That's right.
Final comment.
My final comment is this. The median, as we've discovered, is going to be to continue to invest in Black media, mass Black media. We need to communicate what instructions we are giving to people, which is what he's asking for. And it needs to be two things. These are the requirements. It needs to be an easy risk, and it needs to be a low ask. Because there are people right now who are really struggling. There are people who are working overtime. I went and got breakfast today. All I got was an English muffin with some bacon and egg and some green tea, and it cost me $20. People right now are pissed off about how much everything costs. They have to work extra hard. Gas is going up, rent is going up. They don't have a lot of time to come out here and protest and sacrifice and boycott and do all the things. So the ask has to be low and low risk, and we have to allow a large group of people to be able to participate. But if the organization doesn't have the plan, they can't come to you to communicate it to the people. So we need to be able to create a plan together that is both reactionary and proactive for what the plan is going to be. And to my last point, there was a comment made about how we need to prepare for the midterm election. And as an organizer and activist for the last 14 years, we don't just get people involved just in politics.
Right.
People have to be involved in actual organizing and campaign plans now. That's how we identify the volunteers who become leaders during the campaigns. And we got to build them starting here.
And last comment, Stokely Carmichael Kwame Ture said, you cannot show me a successful African-American who has accomplished anything without being a part of a black organization. He said there have never been successful individuals who have been change agents. They had to be a part of organizations. And so that's also important to understand. Tiffany, we appreciate it. First time.
Also, if you fly Delta Airlines, go to deltaafa.org so you can get you a button and you can rock on your flight. I got you one. I brought it for you in my bag.
Well, because I didn't realize this was the first time you've been in the studio. So you've just been
Lucky I
virtual.
don't steal nothing up out of here because this place is nice.
Yeah, you will get cut. You'll get cut. Just letting you know you'll get cut. You will get so.
Taking that poster right there.
Okay, yeah, you're gonna leave all that black. You're gonna leave all the black art alone. Let me thank Joy. Let me thank Mondale. Let me thank Erica as well for joining us on today's show. Thank you so very much, folks. Support the work that we do. Here's the whole deal. I told y'all. Everybody, you were supposed to say, okay. Let me help you out.
Go ahead.
Okay, when you coming on here, you shouted out the website of the Delta Airlines. When you were talking about how we need people to volunteer, hey, if y'all looking, right. That's what you supposed to see. You want to do that now?
Yeah, hey, if you're looking to get involved, if you want to become an organizer or an activist, you can follow me at Tiffany D. Loftin, Loftin, on social media. I'm only on Instagram. I don't mess with Twitter or Facebook and none of that stuff. Feel free to follow me and I'll get you plugged in.
You on Fanbase?
I'm about to be, though. I know you're about to give me. And my podcast, How We Get Free, is coming back real soon. Make sure you follow us on Instagram at How We Get Free.
See, you need to always
Thanks, Coach.
add that. Yes.
It's been a minute since I've been on the show. I forgot.
Yes, Lord have mercy.
I forgot.
We're doing that on every show. All right, y'all. When we started this 6 years ago, people said this was not going to work. I told them you a lie. I said our audience wants the information. They believe in the information, and they will accept it. Even YouTube told me black news was not going to work. But it's amazing when we met with YouTube in Chicago at the Democratic National Convention, and they said, and they put us in the category of progressive. Now, let me be real clear. I need y'all to understand something. Y'all have never heard me call myself a Democrat or a Republican. You've never heard me call myself an independent. You ain't never heard me call myself a progressive. I don't call myself a liberal. I don't call myself a conservative. I'm black. That's where I stand. So especially when you Negroes talking about, man, you push us to vote Democrat, because I'm smart enough to understand that if there are two people who are running, I'm analyzing who is going to be better to speak to the interests of black people. And more often than not, that is going to be a Democrat than a Republican when I look at the issues that I care about. So we don't understand. I've had some black people come to me and say, I really think, Roland, if you make your show broader, if you even change the name of Black Stud Network, and the answer is no. Because on this show, we center black people. This is also why I don't focus on entertainment. I don't care what celebrity's dating another celebrity. I don't care about who had a baby. Y'all can go to a bunch of other places for that stuff. I'm not discussing that. What we are focused on are the news and issues that impact our people. And there has to be a place where that's the thing that's centered so we can understand and be prepared. I've been stopped. I was in Atlanta. I went to Atlanta last night. My Rockets beat the Hawks. And I was sitting courtside. And I cannot tell y'all how many brothers and sisters stopped me in the airport. They were actually watching the show when I walked up on them. People are saying, man, we're watching, we're listening, please. They like, get your rest, eat well, we need you around. Because, same thing, people are starved for information. So your support of what we do is critical, because when you heard Joy talk about the foundations, they don't cut us checks. Oh, these black billionaires and millionaires, they don't cut us checks. None of them, okay? This show has survived because regular, ordinary people, brothers and sisters who have given us $50, some have tithed. There are at least 6 people who have given us $50 a month every month for 6 years because they believe in this. Other people have given, again, 30, 25. Somebody gave $1.08. I don't know how they got to the 8 cents, but the 8 cents count. So we do this because there has to be a place where we as African Americans are centered, and we are not part of the conversation. We are the conversation, and that everything operates around us. And so we supported the work that we do. The goal is to get 20,000 of our fans. Now, we've never hit 20,000 people giving at least $50 or hitting from the fan base a total of $1 million in a year. But I told you what it funds. We can't all of a sudden go cover this protest or cover this event or go here. It takes money. It takes money for gas, for staff. When I travel with 3 and 4 and 5 people to produce and shoot the show, I got to pay every single one of those people. And I got to pay them in 30 days. It's not like, oh, I could pay them 60, 90 days. So when you support the show, you literally are supporting news and information that speaks to our audience. So I want you to, if you want to join our Bring the Funk fan club, remember, every Friday, and it doesn't matter, from day one, we run the name every Friday of every donor to our show because we want to publicly thank you. And so I would love, right now, I think the video is like 7.5 minutes. I would love for our donor video every Friday to be 20 minutes. That means we got thousands more names. And so Tiffany just gave her money. So join via Cash App. This is the Stripe QR code. Cash App canceled our accounts because they changed their rules. So this is how you can give via Cash App. If you're listening, go to blackstarnetwork.com to see the QR code. You can send your check and money order. It's some old school folk. I'm going to the post office tomorrow. I check the post office every 2 weeks, so I know it's going to be at least 30 or 40 envelopes in there. P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C., 20037 7-0196. Y'all also know how the post office works. If you have sent a check or a money order and it's not been cashed, send me an email, info@rolandsmartin.com. Because there ain't no guarantee it's going to come to me. I know how the post office is. So let me know. PayPal is rmartin unfiltered. Venmo is RM unfiltered. Zelle, Roland@RolandSMartin.com. Roland@RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Download the Black Star Network app, Apple phone, Android phone, Apple TV, Android TV, Roku, Amazon Fire TV, Xbox One, Samsung Smart TV. Get our merchandise. I know Tiffany's going to get this shirt. We got 2 shirts, hashtag We Tried to Tell You, FAFO 2025, and we have Don't Blame Me, I Voted for a Black Woman. So get our shirts at RolandMartin.create, because I'm telling you.
I got the sweater, I'm about to get it right now.
RolandMartin.creator-spring.com or go to blackstarnetwork.com. Be sure to get a copy of my book, White Fear, How the Browning of America is Making White Folks Lose Their Minds, available at bookstores nationwide. And check this out, my book, The First, don't show the graphic yet. So my office in Chicago literally mailed me 3 boxes. Remember, I thought I sold out of all the books. They found the books in the storage room. Actually, my faith-based book and The First. But I'm going to count the number of books, and I'm going to come on the show and give y'all opportunity to buy those first. I got to count how many we have. And so we're going to hook y'all up with that. So I'll let y'all know that tomorrow. So that's it. I'll see y'all tomorrow right here. Let me thank Robert for hosting the show last night. They told me the panel was on fire last night, and I appreciate y'all for being here. That's it. I'll see y'all tomorrow. Holla! Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punch! I'm real revolutionary right now.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?